Hey, what's up, guys? Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. I've been chomping at the bit, like dying to do this presentation today because we have six segments and they're all epic. Frankly, all game changers in their various ways. And we have two guest experts that are the best I could find in the world, frankly, for two uber important things. Uber, not the company, but the the real meaning of the word Uber. Uber important, functions within your Amazon e-commerce business that a lot of people don't want to deal with, but it really, really holds them back from doubling and tripling, and frankly exploding with growth in their business. And also a technical solution to something that a lot of you guys, most of you have frankly struggled with running your Amazon e-commerce businesses. So I am super pumped. First things before we just get straight into it, let me just make sure you guys can all see my screen and that you guys can all hear me. If you could just give me a quick shout out here. What's up, Dave? Hey, Dave, I got your email. Thank you so much. We got Liren from NY City. What's up, Liren? Hey, by the way, heads up, big storm headed right for you, buddy. Big storm hit New York City. Hey, Beverly, how you doing? What's up, Robert? Got Sasha's back. What's up? Sasha says, need this today. Yay. Alex, what's up, Alex? Hey, thanks for posting on my fan page there the how to be notified when people sorry, how to be notified when I do a Facebook Live. That's super helpful. Thanks. Micah can hear me all the way in Albuquerque. What's up, Mona from Tennessee? Yeah, Liren, 1 foot already. Yeah, I know. What's up, Joseph? We got Ryan. We got Tim's back. What's up from Steamboat Springs? All right, awesome. Let's get right to it, guys, because in typical Ben Cummings fashion, I am trying to cram more stuff into this one webinar than most people teach, frankly, in 4 months. All right, so anyway, I just want to give a big welcome to my incredible, amazing, super motivated, high-achieving fast trackers. We have an epic training. As I said, we have 6 training modules for you guys today. First thing we're going to cover is we're going to get you thinking and doing more successfully on Amazon. Thinking and doing. We have a quick exercise, very important exercise. Second, we're going to rip apart 2 Amazon listings so I can teach you how I would transform them from underperformers into big performers on Amazon. Third, we're going to give you an e-commerce video template that is going to make you a ton of money. Fourth, I'm then going to reveal my secret source that I've been using to hire pre-trained, let me stress that word, pre-trained VAs and assistants that I can find in about 30 minutes or less. They can be working for me literally within another 30 minutes, pre-trained with across all kinds of different Amazon tasks. You guys are going to love this. Fifth, I'm going to show you the right way to set up an epic Amazon customer service help desk using Groove HQ. I've mentioned this on my Periscope show. I've mentioned this during some Q&As that I've done. I could not believe the number of requests we got from people saying, Ben, we need to know your exact setup. How did you wire this together? This is going to be a big game changer because, again, this is not one of those things that you wake up in the middle of the night, just, with a big grin on your face going, God, I can't wait to set up a help desk. But in terms of how you compete on Amazon, especially if you're private labeling, there's not that much of a differentiation between one brand and one product and another. But where we can slay it is in customer service, unbelievable customer service. It's that X factor, frankly, in all businesses that gets these people to come back, buy more, leave positive reviews, head off those negative reviews. So we're going to get into that. And then lastly, I'm going to share 7 of my secret Facebook weapons that I think are going to blow you away. So strap yourself in because this webinar is going to be epic. Just some quick news here. I've been announcing this pretty much every time I do Periscope now. So Periscope, which is owned by Twitter, right? Periscope launched with a lot of fanfare. I thought it was going to really take off and get some real traction, and it has frankly failed to do that. Twitter in general is failing miserably. They can't even sell their company. So the writing was on the wall. So we are shifting from my Periscope show and channel over to Facebook Live. So if you haven't already done so, make sure, I mean, you guys are all Ben fans out there, right? Make sure you go to bencummings.com/Facebook. That's a redirect. It'll take you right to my fan page, and then just click the follow button. And yeah, I just did a test Facebook Live. It was a lot of fun. Frankly, I'm still learning that platform. It has unbelievable options that we can use that the Periscope just simply didn't have. Plus, Periscope has very few filters that I could use. So we would get, like, you know, some 10-year-old kid posting funny stuff on how I'm bald, which, trust me, it cracks me up. I mean, it's like, bring it. You know, that's fun to me, but it was very distracting for a lot of you when people would make comments on there live. So, you know, I didn't want to, you know, devolve into my Howard Stern moment where I'm, you know, fighting with some troll on there, although it would have been fun for you guys probably to watch me in action. But anyway, we are making the big transition, 100%. All of my broadcasts will be moving to Facebook Live starting February 28th, and I'm still doing Periscope, but I'm migrating people every single episode over to my fan page. All right, you guys know we always start off with your wins. You know, something that we do in our company during our one-on-one meetings. By the way, I hope you guys are all doing weekly one-on-one meetings with all of your key people that report to you. Andrew Grove, who was the founder, CEO of the incredibly successful Intel, right? You guys all heard of Intel. He wrote a book called Only the Paranoid Survive. And it's his belief that to be a high-performing CEO in any company, you need to be doing one-on-one, not group, one-on-one meetings once a week. They don't have to be long, so that those people can be heard. Because, you know, what we used to say when I ran, you know, and built one of the world's largest practice management companies, was we would go into a doctor's office and we would, you know, turn it around. They were failing, or they were maybe doing a couple of million a year and they wanted to double or triple that. And I would ignore the doctor, because the doctor, they don't know the core problems. Guess who knows? The staff. So I would say, okay, that's great, doctor. Thank you. You go sit in that office, and we'll lock you in there, because I want to talk to the staff. The staff always knows what's going on. They can pinpoint the core problem in like 2 seconds. Yeah, the doctor's making everybody wait 30, 40, you know, minutes, and that's why they're not referring. Or so the phrase we used was, we're going to borrow their watch to tell them what time it is. So you have got to be doing one-on-one team meetings. It's not like you guys have a staff of 200 people. And in fact, Andrew Grove, even a CEO with all of his duties running a multi-billion-dollar company, he would say that the top 12 people that report to you got to have weekly one-on-one team meetings, because, again, you want to, frankly, borrow their watch to tell them what time it is, right? Because they know what's going on. Anyway, so one thing we always do at the start of these one-on-one or team meetings is we start off the meetings with what I call wins. So what was a win that you had since the last webinar that we did, right? Which was only a couple weeks ago. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys here now. If you have a win that you'd love to share, please type it in the chat box now. It can be something from your personal life. It can be a win from your e-commerce business, of course. Maybe you got some new products on Amazon. Maybe you had a great launch. Maybe it was something that happened as a result of, you know, being part of Fast Track. Maybe it was some networking connection you made. Whatever. Please go ahead and type it in now, and we'll start with this positive focus. All right, so Julie, she says her previously sold out product is now back in stock. Woohoo! Yeah, I agree. That's awesome. And Beverly says her meetings are daily, not even weekly. Screw weekly. Hers are daily. Joe says pumped. He's going to EWU. He says time to kick it up a notch. Yeah, that'll be awesome. Jeff, what's up, Jeff? He's my metalhead. He says, I survived the Monsters of Rock Cruise 2017. Jeff, how did your solo go on stage? You gotta let me know. I want to see that video. Mark Steer, our world traveler, Mark says, I finally shipping 3 products out of China. That's awesome. Michael hit 11,000 per month with 1 product, 1 review, and no ads. That's awesome. Good job. Banu Madi, and I hope I'm saying that right, he is now listed on eBay. That's awesome. Donna is working on her health, started doing isogenics and lost 5 pounds so far. That's awesome. That is awesome. Liren, #1 new release product, selling for $90, landed cost $20. Oh, Liren, I love those margins. I love those margins. Great job. Shannon made the commitment to get new products, so she's going to China. That's awesome. Mark also, his sold out product is also back in stock. Man, you guys get these products back in stock fast. My suppliers take like 2-3 months sometimes, so you guys are lucky. Johans, I'm probably saying this wrong, doubled their turnover in 2016. That is epic. Jeff does have a video of his solo on stage during the Rock Cruise. Brian says he placed a new product order found on eWoo Trip. Awesome job, Brian. Al said published first ever press release. See, it wasn't so scary, was it? Adam says after being stuck at about 75,000 a month, I was able to get to over 100,000 and inching towards 125K per month. PPC Entourage has been a huge help. Thanks, Ben. Awesome job, Adam. You know, you're doing something right because you must be taking a lot of action. Well, obviously you're taking action because you keep, you know, inching up these numbers. Good job. Robert says he finished his inserts and packaging for new supplements hitting Amazon next week. Great job, Robert. Good luck with that. Ryan dropped his ACOS and saved $600 a month. That's awesome. Akif made enough money to pay for eWoo. Great job. James found funding for a new brand. Awesome job. I'll take 1 or 2 more here. They're just pouring in here. Sorry, I can't get to everybody. Mona, traffic is up and working the PPC Entourage campaigns. I'm really glad to see you guys are really utilizing the PPC Entourage software. See, I told you guys it was epic, right? This is a software that, frankly, I was hunting for. And, you know, because like you guys, I have so many things going on. I have multiple SKUs, right? And for me to do a deep dive, the hard manual way that everybody else does, it's just like forget about it. It just wasn't getting done, even though it was important. Now with PPC Entourage, and I've just since turned this over entirely to my team, they are like, you know, sponsored ads ninjas with a few clicks of the button. So that's awesome. I'll take one more here. One more. We'll end with the Kieran's. Joined a tennis club with the whole family. All right, I like that one. I like that one. You know, tennis is great, right? It's like golf. You can play golf and tennis into your 80s and 90s. I once played doubles with a bunch of, you know, old guys. They were like 80s and 90s, and they schooled me because they don't have speed, they don't have power, but man, they were drop shotting my ass off. All right, good stuff. Now, I just want to transition to something that I think is really huge. You know, great businesses, from my experience, start with great questions. And the thing that I've discovered is you make far more impact on people with questions than with answers. So if you look out there at most courses, most seminars, what are they all doing? They're like, you know, shooting off answers at people, like tactic, 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 like a freaking machine gun, right? But what I found from my work with all of you is that you don't want answers. Well, you don't want answers, at least initially. What they would like are questions that make them think introspectively, right, about the most important facets of their business or maybe their life. That is how to create change in somebody, by asking better questions. And I think I first learned that from Tony Robbins. I mean, I certainly didn't invent that, but it's really, really profound. You know, it's you know, you can sit there and you can argue with the spouse over some issue, or you can ask questions, and it's a totally different end result, right? So I'd like to take you through a powerful thinking exercise real quick here that has its foundation in our future casting exercise, which, by the way, you can find the original future casting exercise worksheets in the Think Sheets section of the member site. It's in that bonus section there, okay? Highly recommend that you're also using the daily 80/20 Think Sheet. That thing is a game changer in our business. Again, I'm CEO of 5 different companies. I use it in all my companies. And without that tool, I would be a freaking head case. You know, I'd be locked in the R-wing probably, right? From overwhelm. The 80/20 Think Sheet cuts through all the minutia, all the noise, and gets you 100% laser focused, specifically exactly on the highest value task that morning, so you hit the ground running. I just want to remind you of something, something that I found in my work over the last 25 years, not only running and growing companies myself, but also coaching people. I found that when you have a mess that isn't cleaned up, whether it's a business mess or in your personal life, you literally cannot move past that mess often to get to the high value stuff. So what we do built into the daily 80-20 think sheet is we have you just get on paper and just deal with reality and write what is the biggest mess right now, the most urgent thing you need to deal with today, and then do that thing first. Now, I know this runs counter to what you read in all these time management books that are great in theory, but I guarantee a lot of these people have never built a successful company. They probably are very successful authors, but I operate in both worlds. I built very successful companies, and I also do coaching, but coaching isn't my main thing. I'm first and foremost an entrepreneur. And I found the reality of being like an entrepreneur is you can't always start your day with the highest, best use of your time. Sometimes there's something so urgent, so pressing that until I get that off my plate, I don't have the emotional strength and the creativity to even get pumped about like an 80-20 task. So you really want to start the first hour of your day just clearing that mess off your plate or making progress on a mess. And what you'll find is it doesn't take anywhere close to an hour. Sometimes you just shoot off a quick email to an attorney, or you follow up with something with like Amazon Seller Central, and then you move on with your day. It's like you're breathing a sigh of relief. And now you can be creative and you can just crush it with those more important tasks. All right. So I want to talk about just a couple quick things here. So this is this moving towards a concept, and if you look at this diagram here, you'll see that usually most people, if you ask them that are my students, and I say, hey, do you have goals, and do you have very specific goals, and not just like absurd goals, but very practical goals for your year, for your Amazon business, most of my students would say yes. But what's interesting is when they exit that goal setting process, sometimes it's really easy to lose sight, because just like you see, you get all of these things that happen, these urgencies, these crises, you get a supplier issue, whatever, and they distract you. So you start to lose focus of that moving towards picture. And what we find is the more I can get you guys to reconnect with the moving toward picture, this 1 year picture out, and you attach it to images and feelings and senses in your mind, it's just like, I love the Olympics, and I'm sure you've all seen the Summer Olympics. And just before a pole vaulter starts running down the field to do his pole vault, you see him sit there, he closes his eyes, his or her eyes, they gather the thoughts, but they are all trained to, picture very clearly, very succinctly in their mind what that jump will look like, any successful landing. All downhill skiers do this. They start at the top, eyes are closed, and you'll probably notice this now. So the power of this, has been proven. So it just doesn't apply to sports, though, guys. So the more you can live in that moving towards picture, it fires off stuff in the brain. You start making right decisions. You start, having that emotional fuel, frankly, to push you over those humps. And we all have humps. Whether you're a pro athlete, you're going to have issues. You're going to have a guy destroy you on the court. Or whether you're the Patriots, oh my gosh, what an inspiring comeback for that team. Whether you like the Patriots or not. I don't know about you guys, but I was so pumped up about what was possible, even when the odds were stacked against you. I mean, they were down so much, and somehow they pulled it off. Right? They know how to win, and I think a lot of that, the Patriots, they don't talk about a lot of their technique. Have you noticed this? But Bill Belichick is a genius, a freaking genius. And I'm not even a big football fan, but I've studied him. There's a book you can get on Amazon. I can't even remember the name of it. It's a very short read. It's like $1.99 as a Kindle download. It's called like The Leadership Secrets of Bill Belichick. It's not a great read, but it's really fascinating how he thinks. And he gets the entire team to focus, to mentally visualize every potential play that the other team could do against them, both on the offense and the defense. And then he makes sure that they know it so well, he will randomly stop players and quiz them. He'll say, hey, when there's I don't know football, so please don't laugh at me, but he'll say, hey, when they have a 3-2-1, defense setup, what are the odds that they're going to try to sack us. The odds are 67%. Now, if they don't know that, he will stand there and he will, I mean, quite honestly, make an example of somebody that doesn't know, they can't picture in their mind clearly what the other team's going to do. And so when you have that much clarity on the potential future, you can see why they can win and win big and win under pressure. Okay, so this moving towards thing, this is not like a Pollyanna, let's sit around on grass mats and sing, kumbaya kind of exercise. This is founded in, success psychology and sports. So if you haven't reconnected with your moving towards picture, absolutely do it. This is the worksheet that you'll find here in the ThinkSheet download section. And this is what it looks like. So this walks you through the future casting or the moving towards picture 1 year out. The more emotion and the more kind of imagery that you can connect to it, the more powerful it is. So I have a quick 60-second, future cast assessment exercise that I just want to take you guys through. It'll be super quick, but I just want to quote this from the Book of Survival by Anthony Greenbank. He writes, quote, "To live through an impossible situation, you don't need the reflexes of a Grand Prix driver, the muscles of a Hercules, or the mind of an Einstein. You simply need to know what to do." Okay, now let me connect this to some practical reality for you guys. We're all in e-commerce, yeah? We all want to be really successful. In my work with thousands of you guys, of thousands of e-commerce entrepreneurs at this point, I've come to the conclusion that there's only one reason why somebody doesn't hit their Amazon goals. It's a lack of clarity. A lack of clarity. They aren't 100% absolutely crystal clear on what they need to do next. So specifically exactly what needs to be executed today, tomorrow, by this week, by the end of this month, to make hitting this 1 year moving toward picture absolutely inevitable, right? Guys, we're not doing this business for our health, right? We're doing it to hit a very specific outcome, a result. So what is your very specific 1 year result? If it's a certain amount of money, great. How much money? And let's reverse engineer that goal. So we back it out month by month, week by week, to find out what needs to happen today, this month, to make that income goal inevitable. Almost like a Sherlock Holmes approach, right? You reverse engineer and you can kind of create a roadmap. Now, you might not know exactly what the roadmap will look like, but you can bring it to today and say, what do I need to do specifically, exactly today, right? When I ask my friends who own their own businesses, I say, Craig, what needs to happen this month, specifically this month, to hit your year-end goal? They can never tell me. Like their eyes glaze over. They haven't even thought about it in those terms. My fast trackers, I want you guys to be the exact opposite. I want you so dialed into your clarity of purpose that I could wake you up at 4 a.m. You could mutter, in your sleep to me exactly what needs to be executed this month. I want it that precise. You guys with me? Okay, so let's make this happen. What we're going to do now is we're going to build upon the future casting exercise that you all did with me about eight weeks ago already, all right, where we projected again 1 year into the future. You got and you got crystal clear on this. But we're going to get this dialed in to three things, three specific actions that you need to take now this month to make this happen. So it's pretty simple. Guys like to make this complex, I guess, because they're trying to sell seminars on this. It's really simple, guys. Where are you now versus where you want to be 1 year from now? And there's a gap, right? And the reason why you see a bridge here is because we're going to bridge that gap. So where are you now versus where are you in the future? And there's a bridge there. And so I just simply want you to ask and just get clarity and kind of connect with it now. But post-webinar today, I really want you to spend maybe 15 minutes on this and get clear on paper. How are you going to get there? So based on where I am now, and by the way, it's okay to use what the Napoleon Hill calls accurate thinking. Even if you're in a tough situation, it's not negative to just assess the reality of where you're at. If we can just deal with reality of where you're at, we can get you moving in the right direction. So you don't have to be Pollyanna. This is about like no BS kind of stuff here. So where are you right now? And where you want to be based on that, what are the most obvious 3 next steps that you need to take these next 30 days? The idea here, the next 30 days between this webinar and our next one. 3 specific things, okay? And something that I learned from a Dan Sullivan, I'm in his 10X, mastermind group with some incredible people like Joe Polish, who's been a friend for years, and authors, and something that they talk about there is the investment mindset, meaning how invested really truly are you in hitting this goal. The more clear you are on your future cast, this kind of emotional feeling, the senses, kind of the picture 1 year from now, the more invested you'll be in actually taking these 3 steps that you identify. So the homework is simple. You're going to identify 3 next steps. Not vague though, 3 specific steps. So if you were to write them down and share them with me, it would require no backstory, and I would know exactly what you mean. I want that level of clarity. Not, I need to source another product. I want it so clear it sounds like this. I'm going to spend 3 hours on Friday, February, yada, yada, and I'm going to, on a spreadsheet, post 20 potential products, and using Ben's Pigs and Hops 80% success rule, we're going to winnow those down to top 5, and then I'm going to pick 1. I want that level of action, that level of clarity, okay? All right. So, quick review of the high-level focus and fast track. So first of all, I have sort of, winnowed this down to the 8 building blocks of e-commerce, right? So there's a whole lot of moving parts in e-commerce, but if you guys want really big success, you need to grow and take action in 3 of these 8 areas every month, because it has a compounded exponential impact, right? Now, this doesn't include some operational things that are important, like you have to do your sales tax, for your products, you have to file those, and some kind of operational stuff like supply chain management. I'm talking about the growth factors now. Everything boils down into these 8 growth factors. So if we can just have you every month, kind of our overarching goal in Fast Track is to improve in just 3 of these boxes every month. It doesn't have a linear growth effect. It has a compounded exponential growth effect. So just as an example, if you're able to increase your rank, at the same time you're able to negotiate a better profit margin. So now you're netting more with more sales because you're ranked higher, and you're now building your own list by writing a user's guide that you attach within the messaging system of Amazon that drives them to like a ClickFunnels page. So now you are growing your list because you're selling more and you're earning more per unit. That has an exponential growth effect. We also said no matter how overwhelmed you are at any point in time, take a deep breath, relax, and just look at this graphic, okay? I know some of you get overwhelmed. Okay, it's fine. We're all there, but just reconnect with where you are in the 3 legs of the Fast Track stool. Are you in the product picking stage? Are you still in the launch phase or the ranking phase? This entire business, this is kind of the ultimate 80-20 of the 80-20. It all boils down to this, okay? So these are the areas that we're going to tackle today. So let's get started, shall we? All right, the first thing I want to do, and this won't take us very long because I want to get to my 2 guest experts here, is I want to get into the member makeover of the month. And the first one we're going to do is Karen Javid or Javid. I apologize in advance. I'm probably saying that wrong. Real quick, right out of the gate, before we even tackle this, what do you notice that's wrong with his listing? And I haven't even showed you the listing yet. This is his main image. What do you think about that, guys? Exactly. Liren says, no clue what it is. Exactly. So quick question. If the main image is what wins the click first and foremost on Amazon, because everything is predicated on a real consumer doing a search, right? They're either going to see that main image displayed as a sponsored ad or as an organic listing. Right out of the gate, this isn't a very good main image because it's like, what the bleep is this? Okay, so let's just get right to it. So this is the member makeover SOP that I built. This will be posted in the webinar replay section. Okay, first and foremost, great Amazon listings start with great keyword research, pro leagues level keyword research. Now, everybody lays out their keyword research wrong. They do it incorrectly. That's why one of the big things that we teach in Fast Track that I've taught you guys is how to do the keyword research and lay it out the right way. Because if you don't know what the best keywords are that you're targeting, you can't attract the traffic that is possible from the Amazon A9 algorithm. I've studied the A9 algorithm more than anybody else that I know. And it all comes down to the relevancy. So if we do not somehow communicate to Amazon A9 that this guy's listing is relevant, not just for a couple keywords, but multiple search terms, then when people search for his product, he's not even going to show up on the map, right? There's no pulse. So here's what good keyword research looks like. By the way, this is this product is an electric can opener, and he's got one image here. And by the way, this is not all my comments and all my advice is to help you. Okay, this is to help you. So don't take anything I'm saying as a negative critique. This is a positive critique only. I want you to crush it, but you have to improve this main image. It's hideous. It is hideous. You also don't have any other images that demonstrate and show to me what the heck this does, how it works. Just looking at that image, it looks like a cheap piece of plastic, like beer opener, right? But this is like some electric can opener. I could be intrigued, but I don't know what the hell it does. Don't make me think, right? We want to structure your Amazon listings for the impulse buyer, not the analytical, the impulse buyers. You're not giving me enough to even make an impulse decision. There's scant bullets here, like, you know, so there's bad copywriting there, main image, really bad, and then you don't have any other images showing me in use. So Karen, I don't care what you have to do, make this happen. Have it shipped to you if you don't have a unit yet. So we know it's on Amazon, so just have one shipped to you. Literally, I would overnight it if I were you. Grab your iPhone. I mean, you know, this doesn't even have to be like, you know, pro level pictures at this point, and take a bunch of product in use images so that I know what the heck this does, okay? But let's just go back to the keyword research. I want to show you what great keyword research looks like. I've had my team do a pro leagues level keyword research thing for you here. The way we organize these, now I know for some of you this is a review, but let me just get everybody up to speed. All keywords are not created equal, and when it comes to ranking and winning those ranking battles, it's daunting to stare at a list of 200 keywords and go, what do I do? So we force ourselves to edit this into these 4 columns. Major keywords. By major, I simply mean what are the 10 most valuable keywords that you've identified for this listing. Why 10? Because 10 I can wrap my mind around. I can set specific monthly goals, which is exactly what we do, to improve in all of these 10 keywords. So over time, we get elevated sales. Then all of the other keywords go under the minor tab here. You can see there's a lot, right? Then brands, we have identified brands. Usually we want to max this out at 5 brands, but for this kitchen product, there are several big name brands. The reason you want to identify brand names that are your competitors is because you can hide the brand names in the search fields on the back end of your listing, and you can get some free traffic that way. And then misspellings. Now, not all misspellings are created equal, so there's actually a lot of potential misspellings, but I'm going to show you how we identify these and why they're terrific free traffic sources for you, okay? And then, of course, we never need to repeat any words, so we create a single word list here in the second tab. Let me just blow this up so you can see it. Because there's no SEO benefit, there's no A9 benefit into using like the word electric 5 times. It's not weighted. That's not how A9 works. You only need to put the word in once. Great opportunity. That means we can pare down a giant keyword set into less than 100 words, and then we can weave those words into a listing. But everything starts with epic keyword research, because this is how you're going to, you know, you need this to weave those keywords into your listing, number 1. Number 2, how the hell are you going to set up your sponsored ad campaigns if you don't know what keywords you're going to target? This makes it easy. Then it becomes copy and paste. You can launch your sponsored ad campaigns. If you do any kind of AdWords stuff, on and on and on, everything starts and ends, frankly, with doing the effective keyword research for the product. So you can thank me later for this. This is you know, This is pro leagues, baby, pro leagues here of what we got you. Now, misspelling analysis. Okay, so to obtain common misspellings, we enter the top keywords into a tool that I love. We use this all the time for our business. It's called Helium 10 Misspellinator tool. What a name. And basically, we add the misspellings that have a green check mark. So you might see that this says no, no, yes. Okay, there's a column here that was cut off in a screenshot, but there's no benefit in adding a misspelling that Amazon auto corrects for. So in other words, if you start typing in BES, it'll automatically self-correct for best. So then there's no benefit in going after a misspelling that Amazon automatically autocorrects for. There's huge benefit, though, in going after spellings that Amazon doesn't autocorrect for. I can oftentimes add a set of misspelled words to our listings, and we can be ranking literally position 1, page 1 within a matter of hours. Or, you know, it only requires a couple buys, maybe one buy, to trigger that like #1 ranking. Now, this is not like home run level sales, but this is like very, very solid base hits. I'm not saying this will get you from 0 to 50,000 a month, but this will add a few $1,000s a month, and it's like found money. So it's like, why wouldn't you? Okay, so the idea here, by the way, is so we just talked about your moving towards goal from 1 year from now, right? And so for most of you to hit that vision, you probably need to have a kick-ass Amazon listing. And by kick-ass, I mean a listing that's doing all the right things to maximize conversions, sales, rankings, to maximize your success with sponsored ads also. So how do we get there? Well, you're going to model. So as I go through this member makeover, I want you to be thinking, how could all this apply? What action steps can I take to my listing to improve it? Even if you're doing well, I guarantee I'm going to show you something, and you have some opportunities to do even better. Sometimes it just requires 1 or 2 tweaks in the listing to have what I call the Amazon A9 tipping point, where something just kind of sparks it, and all of a sudden, it's like you're off to the races. You hit what Perry Marshall calls the jet stream. Okay, so the second thing I start thinking about is, okay, so now that we know that good research is where everything starts, keyword research, how well has my client's listing weaved in all the most relevant keywords into his listing? And is that listing being indexed for those? Because if it's not being indexed, then who cares, right? So again, we use a second tool on Helium 10 called the Scribbles tool. And basically, when we create, here, I'll just show you this. When we create the single word list here, so we take all of these different keywords, and believe it or not, they all fit into just 78 words, as you can see here. So we take these 78 words, and we want to see, okay, so let's copy and paste his title from his Amazon listing, his bullets, his product description, and let's see how many of these words have been weaved into his listing. He did a very bad job. So out of 78 words, there's still 41 unused words, meaning, when we look at what words he used in the title, the bullets, and the product description, he's missing 41 keywords, okay? So just 37 are being used out of 78, and some of them are crucial he's missing. So this is not bad news. This is fantastic news for you. Like, you should be running out in the streets, popping open the champagne at this point, because this is like no-brainer. This is easy to do. So we made the keyword list for you. Easy changes to make. You just weave these into the product description, some of the bullets, and on the back end. I mean, the bullet points alone, I mean, look at this. There's scant, details here. You can beef these up with way better copy, and you can certainly weave in a ton more keywords there. That'll have a big impact on you. Okay? All right. Next thing I started asking myself, now that we have weaved in those keywords, we have to see if the listing is being indexed for this keyword set that we've identified as most important. So again, we're using the Helium 10 tool. It does all this stuff. This is called the 5K checker tool. And we want to see how many of these keywords are indexed in Amazon. I'll just give you an example. Here's how you check if something is indexed. So his ASIN is this right here, this B01. If we go to Amazon and we put his ASIN like this and do electric can opener, okay, and you can see it says one result for his ASIN and that keyword. So what you do is, you can use a tool like 5K, which will run it for you in seconds, or you can do this manually. It can take a lot of time, but you can do it manually if you want. So let's just see if he shows up for electric, for example. Okay, yep. Let's see if he shows up for Ben. And see, if it doesn't show up, now don't be confused. It might be, oh, it's showing up. No, it's not. It says 0 results found for yada yada with a keyword. All right, so that's what the 5K checker tool does. It does this automatically for us. Look at this. 50 keywords are not indexed. 50 keywords. Ding, ding, ding. Big opportunity there. Next thing I look at, price, guys. You know that Amazon is a low price engine. It's in their DNA. They first started selling new and used books at a discount. That's how they planted their flag in the business landscape. So low price is in the DNA of Amazon. It is a huge influencer on ranking, which sucks because we don't like low prices. We want high prices, fat margins. But hey, guys, it's okay to deal with reality because we want to win and win big. So pricing optimization, let's just deal with the reality of pricing. The current price of this is $34.99. Now, there's no bullets to speak of, a confusing main image, no other images, a product description that isn't formatted at all, and he's charging a premium price. Let me ask you this. Would you buy this for $34.99 based on how he built this listing? Everyone's like, no, sir. Yeah, and 0 reviews. So what do you guys think about this price? Okay, well, we don't know. We can intuit, but I like to know. I like to know. So we need to look at the competition. Pricing doesn't happen in a vacuum on Amazon. We're stuck with their ecosystem. Now, I say stuck. Amazon has given us all an unbelievable opportunity to make a lot of sales, right? But we are stuck side to side, top to bottom with our competition. So we cannot set our pricing in a vacuum. We have to look with open eyes what everybody else is doing. And don't whine to me and say, but Ben, I couldn't source my product for low enough, so I have to have a high price. Guess what? The market doesn't care. Your problem. Okay? I know what you're saying. Trust me. It sucks. But the market doesn't care. You can whine as loud as you want. And I would say you're a bad negotiator. That's why you got that's why your price wasn't good enough. That's why I say, one of the kind of cornerstone concepts in Fast Track is margin. You have got to become a great negotiator. It's very easy to do. In fact, I think I'm going to, starting next month, I think I might kick off a power negotiating series because so many of you can't get the pricing you need. And it's a fun game. It can all be done in a non-confrontational way by email and Skype. So it's not even like you have that oh good God feeling like you do when you walk onto the car lot because everything's by email. You can think about your replies, but there's an art and science to it. Anyway, take a look at the competition here. The top ranked product is $15 cheaper and with a hell of a lot better looking image. Would you guys agree? All right. The second one is a little bit more expensive, but look at how advanced and deluxe, and it has way more features than his. And his is only slightly more at 39 bucks. And the number 3 one is $19.95. So I'm thinking he's got to be around $19.95 to $24.95, just gut level instinct, because again, if I just look at his main image, there's not a lot of stuff going on with this thing, all right, from what I can tell. So anyway, if I also then look at the top ranked handheld electric can openers, right, so a different keyword, all these products are half the price. $16.99, $17.21, $19.99. So that $34.95, dude, it's a pipe dream. It's not going to happen based on how your listing is. Now, prove me wrong. Give me some images to show me how unbelievably better yours is. Give me some copy to convince me of why this is far superior for people that have maybe arthritis or disability or have lost their, some of their strength, their hand strength because they're maybe senior citizens. Give me something, anything to justify a higher price, but you haven't given me that, okay? Again, I'm not being negative. I'm trying to help you. I want you to just absolutely crush it, okay? So ultimately, you want to test, but immediately, as an urgently, you need to get a service like some type of a split testing service. I happen to use one called Splitly. The link's right there. I absolutely would be testing $19.99 versus $24.95 versus your current control. I would bet you the biggest stake in Texas that the low price is going to outperform by a huge margin your price. Okay. Coupon stack. There's no coupon stack here. This is prime real estate. Got to have coupons. There's no reason not to have coupons. They don't cost you anything. You know, conversion rate, as we know, is one of the kings of ranking factors in the Amazon A9 algorithm. Man, I'm having a hard time speaking today. I'm like pumped up. I'm talking too fast here. Amazon A9. Conversion is king. Conversion is king long term and the medium term, frankly. Okay. And why wouldn't it be? If you were Jeff Bezos, wouldn't you want to wire your e-commerce platform so that for every 100 people that see my listing, you know, if 10 people out of 100 are buying from me versus 15 people out of 100 are buying from Rob, why wouldn't they rank Rob's listing higher? Because it's going to make their platform more what? More money. If I had to sum up A9, it is maximizing visitor sales or visitor value. Okay, per visitor value. So one way to goose up conversion rate, and it's so easy, is to have a big coupon stack. Like buy 2, save 10%. Buy 4, save yada yada percent. Buy 5, save blah 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 percent. Now you might say, Ben, why would anybody ever buy like 10 of these handheld like electric can openers? People do. I don't know, maybe there's somebody throwing a cooking class, and this is one of the tools that they're going to buy for the 10 people in the class. It could be a high school teacher. It could be, I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? People do buy multiple units of products that you never think in a million years somebody would buy more than one, and they will. People love a coupon. So there's no reason not to do this. And so it's found money, but it also it boosts your conversion rate because now it's showing that for the same amount of visitors, more people have bought, so it spikes up that conversion rate. So if you can maintain that spike, maybe not every day, but maybe every other day, long term, that's why you see that your rankings increase and they float upwards and they get better and better. You got to have a coupon stack. Not to have one is a Ben Cummings cardinal sin. All right, Q&A stack. This is another big no-no. You got to have a Q&A stack. You can seed these questions. These are pre-purchase questions, right? And so it's prime real estate because it's right above the reviews, right? So if we scroll down, what do people do? They go right to the reviews and there are none. But this place is looking threadbare. So at least seed this with questions. So for example, like, you know, one of our classic tricks is, hey, I noticed that there is a buy 2 save 10% coupon. Is that code still working? And then you reply, yes, here is the current 10% off coupon code, boom, and put it right in there. It's also a fantastic way to do your version of a frequently asked questions section because I have found that we're able to get higher conversions when we add a frequently asked questions section at the bottom of any of our funnel pages that we build because every stat shows that the more people scroll down a web page, the less likely they are to buy. Now, I don't know if this applies to Amazon because people jump right to the reviews. But if we assume that theory is at least partially true, then we know that there's a reason that they're kind of hesitating from buying. So look at the Q&A stack as a place to overcome the top misconceptions or possible objections that people have posted in the negative reviews of other listings. So if everyone's saying, oh my gosh, this thing, my can opener, it didn't open the really thick steel cans. So you read that in like 3 other of your competitors' listings. Well, guess what? You see that as a question. Hey, does this work with all types of steel cans, even the really thick ones? Absolutely. It's been tested. We have a 30-second automated can opener guarantee. Every single can that we've used this on, it's worked great. Something like that. All right. Review optimization. Well, look, there are no reviews for this product. Urgently, you need to get reviews. It probably tells me this guy hasn't launched his product yet, and that's fine. So just use some of the techniques from my past webinars, such as like Amazon giveaways and flash sales. You got to get social proof for your product. Great copywriting. Okay. The Amazon listing copy is okay, and I'm being nice. Okay, it's just not there. It's just not there. It has huge room for improvement. So something that I had Jim Edwards on last month. He's the guy behind Funnel Scripts. I worked with him closely, and he wrote a script for our fast trackers where you plug in some of your data and it spits out killer bullets and titles and a product description. So if you're not a good writer, if you don't know the skills of copywriting, you need to use a tool like that or go hire a copywriter, because your listing as it is, if you want to charge a premium price like you are, it's just not gonna cut it. It will fail, I think. Again, I'm not being negative. I'm trying to help you here. So I definitely strongly advise you do total rewrites of your title, your bullets, and your product description. And you got to format the product description. A block of copy is very unreadable. So you have to format it with, you know, some bolding and some paragraph breaks, okay? All right, so just a couple final thoughts I have for you, and then we'll go to Rob here, and I'm gonna bounce back and forth because I have another member makeover that we might not have time to get to today. We'll just kind of play it by ear. If you're gonna charge a premium price, if you're gonna find a little pocket, a niche within a niche, it might be like easy for people with arthritis or senior citizens. That might be the USP that you need to drill down on, because I know this sounds weird, but even though like all of them would be equally functional for somebody with arthritis, if you're the first guy that you know that kind of puts a stamp on that as your main USP, your main unique selling proposition, you can own a good percentage of that market, because I guarantee there is a good you know percentage of people specifically that need this for that purpose. I don't know how big though. Okay, so this is just a gut level feeling. I mean, I could be wrong on this. So you need to, you know, look around a little bit, see what other people are saying in our listings. But you could be in a position to, you know, position this as an opener for people with arthritis or disability. So if this is an important sales angle, and I think it is because you identified it, if I remember, yeah, best for arthritis seniors. So he's doing a little keyword stuffing there. Then this might make a lot of sense. So rather than bury that USP in the tail end of a title, flesh it out in your bullets. You know, something like this here. You know, one touch magic. Imagine opening your favorite can of soup with the simple press of a button. It works like magic. Electro Teeth is the perfect electric can opener for arthritis because it does the work for you, no effort or strain involved. This is the best hands-free can opener for anyone wanting ease of use, including senior citizens, people suffering with arthritis or disabilities, because it's safe, fast, and super easy to use. That is far better than hands-free design. Okay? So we need some hustle in that listing, man, some hustle. Hero shot, the main image. Okay. I think we all, you know, would universally agree his main image, not good, has to go, has to go. The hero shot for his listing is very confusing, and it doesn't instantly communicate what it is, how it works. Remember, you got to win the click. So, you know, ask yourself, would my main image win the click versus, I mean, look at all these other items here. These look like premium. They look expensive. They instantly kind of communicate what this does. Yours doesn't. You even have like a measuring thing here. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, maybe that was, you know, forced upon you by Amazon. I don't know. I doubt it. But you need to fix that, and you need to fix it urgently. Okay? All right. No other product images are in your listing to demonstrate product features. There's nothing showing me how it works. You know, close-ups with an arrow to its features. You need some lifestyle images, meaning show me this in action. Again, you don't have to spend a fortune. Just grab your iPhone, have your spouse or, you know, significant other take the iPhone and like have it in use. Show me how it works, okay? And then show me like a shot showing all that I get. So the box, the thing, the instructions, that should be in your 7th position. You might even want to give me some comparison shots, because you got to answer the question, why you versus everybody else? So by comparison shots, I mean, get your competitors in a 3-panel image, right? So you take an image and you have 3 sections, and you point to features that are lacking in the Hamilton and maybe like another one, okay? So then you got to format, and you have to keyword stuff. This product description, we've already covered that because I showed you there's something like 50 missing important keywords that aren't even being indexed by Amazon, okay? Also, I noticed in your product description that you have the misspelling here that you put into the front-facing part of the listing. You don't want to do that because it makes the product look like it's not very professional, in my opinion. I mean, so I would always hide those misspellings and stuff them in the back end in the search fields, okay? So anyway, I hope you guys found that useful. I will take just a couple questions, then we have to get to Rob and Nathan here. Beverly Hannah says, Jim's Amazon funnel script is amazing. Yeah, it is awesome. I agree. Eddie says, what is the process to publish questions? Meaning, can you use your own Prime customer account? No, you want to go to your Deal Club members or to maybe friends that are in different IP addresses and just have them post these pre-purchase questions. I mean, it's definitely black hat. I mean, Jeff Bezos doesn't want you seeding questions, right? But we have different goals, right? We want to win, and we want to kind of control that customer experience. We can't do it on the Amazon platform, so we have to, do the best we can with things like that, okay? Kieran says, awesome critique. Thank you. Appreciate that. Mark says, how do you vote reviews up or down? Well, what most of my clients do, and same thing that we do, is, we have a deal club. We have all these lists that we built over the years. And so we just, when it's needed, it's not needed like constantly. It's only needed once in a while. We just ask them to do it. Eddie, I already covered the keyword research in depth, so it'd be redundant for me to do it again. So just look at the index that we spend a lot of time making for you guys. It's the first link in the member site, and it's a giant long Google Doc, and you just use the search function, and you'll find what month I taught that, and you'll be off to the races. Ashley says, where is the search fields to put the extra keywords in? That's on the back end when you build your listing. It literally says search fields. I'll take one more question, and we got to move on here. Letty says, is it okay with Amazon to use the comparison chart on your images? No, it's not. It's not. It's not. I mean, again, your business, your choice. I want every competitive advantage. And what's that expression? It's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission sometimes. So yeah, I've gotten slapped for having like text in some inner images, and we gave them the old, oops, sorry, we didn't know. They have been removed immediately, and they suppressed our listing until we had that fixed. I don't think it's, again, Murphy's Law. Now watch, like one of you will be banned from Amazon for doing it, okay? But generally speaking, I've never ever heard an account banned, literally banned, for doing something like that. But your business, your choice, guys, right? I mean, everybody's risk level is different. Just like investing in the stock market. Some people want like super conservative investments. I'm somewhere in the middle, right? I never do anything illegal. I mean, never illegal, but I'm willing to push the envelope and go into gray areas because I want every competitive advantage. I want every ranking advantage. I want every conversion advantage, okay? I can no longer put any text in any of my images in my listing because they came down hard on me about 1.5 years ago. So for me, I mean, I was already busted, and I said, oops, sorry, we didn't realize that, and we changed them, and it was not a problem at all. But so I can't do it. But I don't know if you've noticed, but it seems like every other Amazon listing now has text in the in the inner images. Don't ever put text in the main image. They will lock down that listing until you fix it. Okay. One last question. Michael, I just covered that. Yeah. All right, great. So let's keep going here, guys. Let's keep going. Let's talk about video. So the theme today seems to be, right from the get-go, hitting our goals big time in 2017, right? Well, I want to talk about one of my secret weapons. This is a weapon I've used repeatedly, and I've talked about this repeatedly. It's like I'm beating a dead horse, but it works. It gets me some phenomenal success in e-commerce. And what is that secret weapon? It's the use of video. Video. Guys, if you want to make a lot of money in this business, you've got to be using video. How serious am I about video? I'll give you an example of how serious I am. So a few weeks ago, I rented a loft in New York City. It cost me a lot of money. I hired a documentarian and a makeup artist to film an origin story video for my brand new e-commerce company that we just launched. Okay. Around that same time, I hired one of the top e-commerce video guys out there, a terrific, amazing guy named Rob Burns, who owns a company called Video Telepathy. And he made me 7 videos for this brand new e-commerce brand, and I'm getting about 20 more videos made in the coming weeks that we're making in-house ourselves. Can you tell I kind of like video? Okay, so I love video. Now, why do I love video? Because video makes me money. It makes me a lot of money. We have a saying in our company: the more we film, the more we make. So you might want to write that down. The more you film, the more you make. And you guys see me use video a ton on the consulting side of my e-commerce business with the Periscope videos, now with Facebook Live. With anything and everything I do, there's this constant video presence. And if you've observed, it doesn't have to be Martin Scorsese quality to have a big impact. I mean, some of you rip on me about the quality of the Periscope videos because sometimes I'm just literally holding the video camera. Bad Wi-Fi in a hotel room, you don't really care though, because you want the content and you want the consistency. Video works. The more you film, the more you make. It's kind of like almost every video that we're putting out there into the universe, it makes us a positive ROI, or it has some positive impact almost every time, it seems. So why is that? Why does video crush it in e-commerce? Okay, let me just talk about this for a moment, because then I'm going to turn it over to our expert that can tell you way more about this. But the way I verbalize it is video dimensionalizes your product, meaning it brings your product to life in 3D, not literally 3D, but you guys know what I mean. It brings it to life. It takes it from a static, flat image to a breathable, living 3D experience. Video, right? I mean, video can communicate the product benefits in like 10 seconds, right? That would otherwise take like 2 pages of text. And with like videos, like bam, they totally get what the product does now, right? Okay, Ben, but video seems like an extra step. Why can't I just stick with text? Okay, actually, if I had to choose, guys, video for me wouldn't be the extra step. It would be the main step, the only step. But because of the Amazon listing, limitation, we have to be text-based. But I don't have to be text-based on my other properties. Okay, so the way I look at it now is video for me is the essential element, and text is actually the extra. Why? Sadly, Americans are not readers anymore, right? The general public is, pretty much functionally illiterate from my experience. Sure, they can read. They don't read a lot. They can't read anything that is, college level, right? They've grown up on video, and they're very comfortable with it. And they trust video. Now, this is a weird one, but they actually trust video. There's a credibility to video in the sense that that video seems to be taken more seriously than just text. I'm not sure why that is, but I'm sure you guys kind of intuitively understand what I'm saying. So you guys want proof? Did you know that, okay, strap yourselves in for this one. This is shocking. Did you know that the typical conversion rate for an e-commerce site is 1%? Now, I'm not talking Amazon. I mean like across all e-commerce sites, Shopify sites, 1%. That's pathetic, 1%. The reason why it's 1%, though, is because every e-commerce site, looks the exact same. They're using the same boring, static listing framework, aren't they? They got a couple product photos, sometimes just one product photo. I just had to, buy some tables and chairs for the downstairs of our townhouse, and we have this woman that has all these catalogs, right? So I would go to the website. I kid you not, they're trying to sell something for like $1,000 plus. They would have one freaking image, one image of a $1,000 plus item. You need to give me 10 images. Show me what it looks like in a home. Give me a freaking video. It's not that much extra work, but nobody does this, guys. It blows me away. Okay? Like maybe 3 bullet points, maybe 5 bullet points on most e-commerce sites if you're lucky. That's it. There's no salesmanship, no hustle, no long-form sales copy, nothing. Well, no wonder they're stuck at 1% because it's one-dimensional. By the way, just as an aside, it's kind of interesting. This whole industry is kind of like the blind leading the blind, right? Have you noticed that? Everyone's kind of looking at what the other guy does, and they're just kind of copying it. Stupid. Well, when we add video to our product pages on Shopify, we're getting 300% higher conversions rate. We're not getting 1%. We're getting 300% higher on an average. Why? Because I try to dimensionalize every single product that we release. We want to bring it to life. Okay? Look at every super successful Kickstarter campaign, right? Right? Every successful Kickstarter campaign, every one of them uses video, oftentimes multiple videos, and there's a reason for that. So anyway, video is huge for e-commerce, guys, okay? And you know, what I realized was, you know, I've been beating this drum. Ben Cummings and Ezra Firestone, we're the only 2 guys, it seems like, that have been talking about video for as long as we have, okay? Ben and Ezra, that's it. But I still can't get you guys to use video at the level that you guys need to be using video. And when I ask you guys why, you guys tell me, Ben, it's the script. I don't know what to say in a video, and that's what's stopping me. Well, I want to get you guys unstuck. And by the way, that's good news, because if that's your objection, that's an easy problem to solve if you have a roadmap, if you have a template. So what I decided to do for you guys is I sought out the guy who's made more successful e-commerce videos than anybody I know. I brought him on to our call today to just teach you, just flat out spell it out exactly, precisely how to write a really successful e-commerce video script, one that will be amazing and effective, hopefully right out of the gate, even if you've like never written one of these in your life. So you guys are going to love this. Let me just unmute Rob here. Rob, you ready? Rob, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Hey, there we go. Rob,
I'm sitting here just slamming the unmute button, and it's just not working. So I was hearing you. Okay, cool.
Hey.
Panic? Yeah.
Yeah, we're good, man. That was awesome.
Awesome.
So we have, I brought you guys none other than Rob Burns. Rob, how are you, buddy?
Hey, doing great. How's everybody else doing out there?
They're great, man. They,
right.
And I think they're going to be really pumped to you know, see what you have for us. So I'm going to yield the floor to you, and you are on. So
all right.
So take it away.
You want me to go full screen with the slide deck? Will that work for you guys?
Sure.
Like, does that look good? Cool.
Yeah, looks great.
All right, cool. So yeah, so I think I have about 20 minutes, and I got a ton of info. So I'm just gonna blow through it as fast as I can, and then if you guys have questions and stuff, then we can go through there. So of course, title is How to Craft a Super Persuasive E-commerce Video for Facebook, and I would say so. A lot of I'm sure you've heard that old analogy. Picture's worth 1,000 words. And and if that's the case, then video is worth 1,000,000, and there's for a couple of reasons. I think one is the fact that it establishes much more of a connection. So people are either some people are researchers and they just want to read a bunch of copy and fact check, and then other people are audio visual, and if you do a video right, you can actually kind of solve all 3 of those, where you can give them the information, you can make a personal connection, and you can kind of establish that you're like that person that you're selling to. So as opposed to just just like you were saying, some of the e-commerce platforms are just horrible as far as just it's basically just you're just looking at a bunch of text and an image and hoping this is what you want. So this could solve a lot of issues as far as just like more information about the product and do it very, very fast. Another big issue, and I'm sure you guys know, is email deliverability, and it just keeps getting harder and harder to actually reach those customers, because there's more people emailing, and then there's the email filters are getting so much more advanced, and especially like Gmail, where you can get put over in the promoted section if you don't do a bunch of stuff and all that good kind of stuff. Where video, actually, if you think about it, because if you do an email autoresponder series, what are you doing? You're basically trying to establish kind of a know-like trust. That's what you're doing. So you're going to do all these different emails, and you're trying to make a connection with the person, and you're trying to establish with the person that your business or product is in alignment with whatever their culture is. So with a video, sometimes if you do a video right, and I'll show you, I'll talk about another example that you can do all of that in one video, and so it saves quite a bit of time. Of course, it increases conversion, and if you increase conversion, of course, you're increasing sales. So one of I'm going to go through a couple statistics. Introductory emails that include video actually increase click-through rate by 96%. So that's another issue. So we were talking about deliverability. So if you actually just put the word video in there, then you'll actually have a 96% increase in your videos or in your email conversion. And the other thing too is with video, you can't actually put a video in your email, but you can do an image that leads to a page. So that's something, because basically what do you want to do when you send somebody emails? You want to take them off of that email page and put them onto your sales page or your product page. So if you include an image, and I know, like, I'll get an email and I'll see an image of a video, and I know that it's just an image, and I'll still click on that button because I just got to click on that button and see what's going on. And so not just the 96% conversion for having an email, having that in the email title, but actually just having like an image inside of an email is really going to help too. Including video on your landing page increases conversion by 80%, and I think Ben teaches how to do a bridge page to Amazon. I believe, and if you want to talk about that a little bit later, and I'll show some examples. I'll actually show like a real quick a video funnel that you can do as far as doing like a whole video sales funnel that goes to the sales process. Visitors who view product videos are 85% more likely to buy than visitors who don't. And again, like you see these two examples, Dollar Shave Club and Blendtec, I'm sure you guys are familiar with those. And again, what do? They make a connection. They establish, the people that buy Dollar Shave Club, are like this dude, and the Blendtec, is this crazy, wacky, mad scientist guy that does this stuff, and it's like, put Blendtec sales over Vitamix's sales, like just quadrupled, and then, kind of established them as the leader in the premium blender industry. So there's a couple of reasons why people don't make product videos. One is if you go to a studio and have it done, the average video studio to have a custom video done is $800 to $1,200 a minute. That's an edited minute, and that's not even including talent. If you do it yourself, you're going to need a professional video equipment. You're going to need a studio. You're going to need audio. You're going to need lighting. Software, you're going to need to learn how to do the software, the talent, technicians, all that fun kind of stuff. So, there are examples. I think like the stuff like Ben was talking about, where he's doing, especially if you're doing branding stuff and you're kind of establishing yourself as a brand person, then doing those videos from your phone are those are gold, and those are awesome, and they should be not super polished. But I believe for things like product videos where it's your first introduction, and people are really they're wary because they don't know you, so you want to you definitely want to have your best foot forward, and so those I believe that's where you really want to do some quality videos and some quality copyright. And it's difficult. Again, it's just messing with all that stuff. I'm a big believer in playing to my strengths and having other people do other things. So I do, my whole focus is to, grow the business and not, do everything inside the business. Although, I probably could do each individual step. I just don't, because, in effect, it's going to cause me to lose money. Or too shy, or you just don't want to brand yourself. So a lot of people are building businesses, to sell, or they just don't want to be that person in front of the camera. So that is a bit of a hindrance. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to first I'm going to do a kind of a broad overview, and that's just how to do a basic script. So not even just a Facebook, and then I'm going to narrow it down to some Facebook specific points. So introduction and making a connection, and this is something that I think is overlooked, but it's probably the most important thing. And this picture, why this weird picture? This is my buddy Chris Stoikos. I don't know if you guys know him or not, but he actually started the Dollar Beard Club, not the Dollar Shave Club. It's kind of the inverse, and it's and he's just a crazy cat. Like I was going to show the video, but one, I know we're time sensitive, and the other, it's a little bit socially unacceptable because he just uses the F word about every other word, and slaps a dude and all this other stuff. But basically, this guy is like a alpha male Viking hipster, and his video, if you watch it, is exactly that. I mean, he walks around like with his shirt off, and and anybody that's not, anybody that doesn't have a beard, he slaps them, and all this crazy stuff. And the point being is he really knew who his avatar is, who the people that he's selling to are, what their trigger points are, what the things they like, the things they don't like. And something, because of the way the video was constructed, it did two things. One is like, either you are a Chris Stoikos Dollar Beard Club fan, or you hate the guy. And I honestly think that a lot of folks spend a lot of time selling to people that are never going to buy your product. And so sometimes making a connection, but also letting kind of filtering out those people that aren't part of your tribe, that aren't going to buy your product, that it is super valuable, because you spend a lot of time and money marketing to people that aren't aren't ever going to buy anything that you're going to sell. So pain and pleasure. So that would be the next point. So the first point is make a connection, establish, hey, if you're like me, or whatever kind of thing, so that so that this person knows that this is something that you're like them, and you do the same things, and you like the same things, and all that good kind of stuff. And then pain and pleasure. So you want to go in, what's in it for the viewer. So a big mistake most people talk about when they do their own videos is they just talk about themselves and like, hey, we're super awesome, and you should buy from us, and this is, and that's always a mistake, because I hate to say it, but just nobody cares. Nobody cares about you. I mean, as far as from a buying standpoint, the only thing they care about is them, and what's in it for them. Do you understand them, and what are the benefits that they're going to get? And so and that's it. So how's it going to change, how's it going to make their life for the better? Empathize with their pain, so talk about their pain points, and then talk about how your product is the solution to those pain points. The only time that I would recommend using features is something that's maybe like a B2B product that's highly technical, where somebody's looking for a specific thing, maybe some kind of machinery or something like that, but for the most part, benefits and pain points, those are the things that are going to close the sale. Those are the things that are, going back to the Chris Stoikos video, he's basically just, what's in it for the people, I'm going to be a super cool beard guy like Chris, and what's a pain point? I don't want to be like some normal person that's doesn't have a super cool beard kind of thing. And actually in this instance, these folks are selling organic coffee, and so that just chemicals and all those kind of things. That was really it's an issue for people that are really kind of fanatical about organics and organic coffee and things like that. And so that's that was kind of the benefits, and the pain points was the pain point is do you have a hard time finding really high quality organic coffee that and then talk about the benefits, and how much more healthier it is, and how much more antioxidants to do the copy has because of the special process that they have, and things like that. So and then if you do that right, so if you make that initial connection, and then you go through all of the solve all of their pain points, and talk about all their benefits, then really, I mean, it's super simple, and it's just close and recommendation. It's like, hey, I highly recommend you buy this product now. And most of the time, and that's more on the product end, video end. For the Facebook side, like for the ad part, I recommend that you almost kind of create a little curiosity that's going to drive them to your product page, and then the product page is going to answer that. And so, so this this 3-part series that I'm showing you right now, basically is that's just kind of a broad view if you're just writing a script. And so now I'm going to go into more specifics, as far as what you would do for a Facebook ad. One, subtitle, because as for a Facebook ad, as most of them the videos are autoplay, but there's no audio. So I recommend putting subtitles in there, and then also in the very beginning, writing a really good hook. So writing something that's going to engage, it's going to capture their attention. So when they're looking at that video, that's going to cause them to click on it more. We're seeing the sweet spot for Facebook ads between 60 and a minute and a half. People have super short attention spans, and again, the goal here is to give them a little bit of education, to make a connection, drive them off the page, so that they're going to go look at your product video, and then they're going to buy your product. And then, for Amazon folks, it's going to go to your bridge page, which is going to have a product video, which will then, you're going to capture a lead and then send them to your Amazon page. Create curiosity so they take the next step. Again, that's what we were just talking about. Integrated call to action, tell them what their next steps are. So, hey, go check out our products, over here, click here and check out our products, or, and it's really, really not complicated. I mean, most of our highest converting, product or Amazon or Facebook product, Amazon or Facebook ad videos, you could probably write the copy in 30 minutes. And usually what I suggest is, write your copy, sit on it, and then, reread it, do a little tweaks, and, give it a day, and just, let it soak in, and then start doing your stuff. And demonstrate how to use the product, of course, in a Facebook ad. So that's the other thing, because, in a Facebook ad, especially if the audio's not playing, but it's got this really cool thing where somebody's using the product or doing something, then, people are just naturally curious, and they're going to click on it and want to find out more. Make sure you hook your audience within the first 5 seconds. That we already talked about that. Focus your video on your call to action and get them to click as soon as possible. Build a complete pre-roll pathway. Don't just send them to a home page. And basically, that's really more for like the e-commerce people, not the Amazon, because most of your Amazon folks are going to send them to a bridge page that's going to send them to, like we just talked about. But a lot of people, for some reason, they'll do a Facebook ad, and then they'll just send it to the home page, where you really want that Facebook ad is going to be product specific, and then you want to send it to a product page or to a sales page or whatever you're going to do that's congruent with that original Facebook ad. And I don't know how many times I see people do that, where they just go to the home page and like, why are you doing that? It's just your conversions are just going to just tank. So don't do that. Add a catchy soundtrack. Adds a little emotion. And again, depending on the soundtrack, you're going to match that soundtrack and that music with your avatar. So again, that's kind of a subconscious way to make a connection, because whatever style of music, if you're selling walkers, to older folks or something, you probably want to have Sinatra or something. I don't know, but something like that. So and something that one way that you can make, actually, if you want to go with a longer format Facebook video ad, is just keep adding testimonial clips. I recommend that for the Facebook ads, and I also recommend that on your product video, because now you're being edified. I use that analogy. If you're at a party and and people you're talking to somebody and you're just talking about, hey, we're super awesome, and you should check out my business. Everybody just thinks you're douchey. But if you're at a party and somebody says, hey, you should check out this guy's product or whatever, then you're like, it creates you're edified. So and testimonials do that. they give you credibility. It's somebody else talking about you, and it's really going to help increase your conversion. So add 2 or 3 testimonial clips on the end. And so just a few different video funnels, and I know you guys are primarily Amazon, but I'll do one. They're super quick and easy, but I'll do one Amazon. I'll do one that's e-commerce. So for the Amazon sales funnel, it's really super simple. You have your video ad, which is either Facebook, YouTube. It could be Instagram, Pinterest, whatever. So that video ad, it's going to go to your third-party bridge page, and I'm pretty sure Ben teaches that kind of stuff. And so basically, your bridge page could be like a ClickFunnels page, optimized press, lead pages, whatever. So in that video, you're going to have then the product video, and also make some kind of an offer, like possibly like a coupon code or something. So that way you're capturing the lead, so that you'll have those. So say you maybe move over to an e-commerce page eventually, or you want to sell lateral products later on, to your Facebook tribe, then you're able to do it, since you can't really capture emails. And then so say somebody, they go from your Facebook ad, they go to your bridge page, they bounce off your bridge page for whatever reason. A good thing I recommend is actually doing a really quick retargeting video. And with the retargeting video, you can just do something really simple, and it freaks people out, because they'll be like, it's the same person with the same product. So they're on some other website, or and usually with the retargeting videos, I mean, it's mainly going to be like Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram is where you're going to be able to remarket them. But it'd just be something like, hey, I noticed you were checking out our blue widgets, and I noticed you didn't buy. I don't know if you knew that there's a 40% off coupon code, and so go back, and here's a coupon code, or if you're offering a coupon code on your bridge page, and say, yeah, here's an extra 5 or 10% off. Or I love survey funnels. Survey funnels are amazing, because it helps you narrow down, who your avatar is, who your person that you're selling to is, which of course then reduces your ad spend, and it also puts them back into the sales process. So you can do something like hit them with a retargeting video, like, hey, we're fanatical about our customer experience, and I noticed you were checking out our product, and hey, I have a free gift for you if you can answer a couple questions, so that we can help you learn more to help you guys out better. And then you just put them into a survey funnel, and then they're right back going through the sales process. And not only that, but you're learning more about your customer base. So then you can narrow down your ad spend by laser focusing on what you're buying. And then if an e-commerce funnel is actually a little bit simpler, because you don't have the bridge page, so it's just the ad to the actual product page, again, not the home page, and then they do the retargeting video. And that's really it. That's pretty much my presentation. So now it's Ben back.
Hey, what's up, Rob?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Did I do it in 20 minutes? I was trying to go as fast as I could. So.
Yeah, bam, you nailed it. Good job.
Cool.
So I just want to let everybody know, first of all, that Rob actually sent me a file, which is a great video script template. And so you guys know how I always post an Evernote document for any SOPs that we want to give to you guys. So the slide deck that he just showed you, because I know a lot of you want that, as well as his video script outline, and it's kind of like a plug and play thing, right, Rob? It's kind of like they just have to think the different pieces that you've outlined in this kind of fill in the blanks sheet.
Exactly, yeah.
And it kind of writes itself in a sense.
Yeah, the way I outlined it was just, and actually gave like an example, just kind of gave like a mock-up script of a mock-up product, and then how you would do, go through the connection, the benefits, and then actually in the bottom of the page there's some extra tips and just things on there. So it pretty much just kind of walks you through all the stuff that we just talked about. So.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, there's so much potential with video out there, and I know that you've been working with a lot of our really successful clients. Like, for example, Kusha Karvandi, he wrote, "Rob Burns is a genius. Tell him Kusha says hi." And Shannon, yes, you're getting Rob's slides. Jacob says, "Sorry, Ben, even more concerned about video ads." No, it's good. No reason to be sorry, because video ads are killer. Yeah, I mean, in my intro comments, I didn't mean you should just do videos for like your Shopify site. Um, Absolutely. I mean, I was the first guy that I know of, even before Ezra and Rob. I don't even know if you know this, but I gave a big lecture at a huge Rapid Crush event, and Facebook had just kind of rolled out their video ad platform. And
Right.
what we were doing is we'd have people like from FameBit or like bloggers that would do a product review, and we were running those in the early days as a Facebook video ad, and we were just crushing it, and we still crush it. I mean, video ads. If you talk to Ezra or me, some of our best metrics as far as like advertising results come from video ads on Facebook, because you can retarget like Rob was saying, and you can do so much really interesting thing and a really
And
engaging.
the ad spend's less than, yeah. So,
Sorry, what was that, Rob?
and a lot of times too, depending on what platform you're using, the ad spend itself is actually less, even though it converts more. So
Oh yeah. Ad spend is unbelievable, and the retargeting options. Those of you that are sort of newer to Facebook video ads, Rob, isn't it like you could, not that you'd want to, but you could retarget if they watch something like 3 seconds, or you can retarget if they watch like 30 seconds or the full
yeah,
thing, something like that, right?
and you can actually, yeah. So depending on what action they take, then you can serve a different retargeting video. And um, another little tip I recommend is, because you are fairly limited, to the main, some of the main platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I think Pinterest you can retarget also. But then if you want to kind of retarget that whole broad audience that you could, for everybody, through all the networks, is just take an image of that video. Don't make it look like a fake video player, because you'll get banned in about a second. But so it's that same person holding the same product, and use that as a static retargeting ad, which then sends them to a page that's got the retargeting video on there. So that way you can kind of capture a whole broad spectrum.
Yeah, and like I've seen a lot of Rob's, Facebook, videos that he makes. He probably makes more of them for e-commerce than maybe anybody now. They're really good, and they're really well produced. Highly recommend them. But something really interesting that they do when they make a Facebook video ad is that they have captions. Now, not the boring type captions that you guys all think of, but captions so that a lot of the video that is autoplayed on Facebook is muted. So somebody could theoretically be sitting at work on Facebook, they see one of Rob's videos that he makes for you, and they can get the entire gist of it on video, still muted, and you can still win that click, and they can purchase that product.
Yeah, it's huge. It's super important.
Yeah. All right. Before we let you go, I brought you on to share your expertise with everybody. What do you do for people, Rob? Kind of walk us through your service, how it works.
Yeah, so we are pretty much 100% e-commerce, and doing e-commerce product videos and e-commerce product funnels. Doing like Facebook, YouTube, the actual product videos themselves, and we really kind of specialize in something called kind of like a product review style, where it's more, instead of like, hey, we're super awesome, buy my stuff, it's more like, hey, I just discovered this really cool new product, and we really try to stay in integrity with something like that, so it's not like it's really fake. So all of our talent, there's kind of a standing order, like if you don't like the product, then they don't have to they don't have to shoot it, because they have to believe in the product to actually kind of make kind of give that third party edification. So so we do that. We're working on things like creating video email autoresponder series for e-commerce, and
Oh, cool.
follow-up series, support. This is a big thing, and I think you teach us a lot. And I know Ezra talks a lot about it, but a lot of money is made actually post-sale, as far as just actually taking care of people. Like, it blows people's minds when somebody like calls you up or sends you a video, saying, hey, I'm just following up, just checking up, make sure you're happy with the product. Like, who does that these days? So we're actually building out some stuff like that, where we can do a whole series where people are following up, and customer support and customer service and things like that too. So
That'll be awesome. Yeah, those post-purchase steps are huge. It's that X
yeah,
factor, right? It,
yeah, there's
it
so much money
turns
there.
ordinary customers into raving fans.
Yep, yep, exactly.
Milo, who was just with me in Vegas here at my event, she says, do you also have a voiceover reading the text in addition to the soundtrack, or just a soundtrack and text? Okay, so your videos have a real live person who is doing the speaking, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So you can do like a demonstration style video if you like, but I would say the vast majority of our videos are actual spokespeople and you can pick from a huge kind of drop down menu of talent. We're in San Diego, so we're next to LA, so it's just we're lucky to just have a ton of talent in our area. So you can kind of pick your spokesperson that's going to match your avatar. So like this one, this was kind of for survival life, and this guy's real name is Buck, and he's like a buck guy, and so he's definitely kind of a survival guy. So you can kind of pick that person that matches your product. Where the other one for coffee was Christine, and she's actually does yoga and eats only organic, and it was an organic coffee line. So again, we try to make sure that we're in alignment with whatever the product is and who the viewers are. So.
That's great. I know Buck looks like the only thing he's missing from that screenshot is a Miller Lite in his left hand, right?
Exactly. Yeah, but he's an underwear model, but it's almost like we were going to put like a fake beer belly on him or something, just to, So.
That's awesome. And I'm going to post this underneath the webinar replay, the link to your services, because I get nothing for recommending his services. He's not like paying me like an affiliate commission. He helps me out with making videos, stuff like that. How can people reach you as far as like a URL?
Yeah, so actually, if you go to just videotelepathy.com/ecom, ECOMM, there's a little bit more of an explainer video there that just talks a little bit more about what we do, and then you can just hit the button right there, and you can actually like schedule a time, and we'll give you a walkthrough and answer any questions, and we so the way we do things is we're 100% consultative, and we don't ever try to sell people. We just answer questions. We just help people to death. So we're not going to try and pitch or anything, but any kind of questions or any kind of even if you have more questions about Facebook how to do Facebook ads, we're glad to help you out. So.
That's awesome. And here's his Hollywood headshot here of Rob Burns on my screen. When you sent me that, I'm like, Rob, this is like really professional, for a guy who sells hot sauce, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, Rob, thanks so much for the time and for for the template that we're going to give to everybody with the webinar replay. Everybody loved it from the comments I can see, and if you guys are looking for some higher quality type of e-commerce videos, especially for Facebook, I can highly recommend Rob's service. He's great, and it will help you out. Thanks, Rob.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for having me on.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. We have something awesome to talk about next. So, if we all want to crush it in 2017, yes, and we all want to crush it in a big way, when you have big goals for Amazon growth, you're very quickly going to literally slam into one huge capacity blockage, not dissimilar to that insane traffic jam you see in that image. But do you want to guess what that capacity blockage is in your business? It is you, right? It's you. There's only so many hours of you to go around, and very quickly we hit what I call the income ceiling. We literally slam into the income ceiling, and I want to show you this chart here. You literally aren't going to grow Amazon sales and be able to implement things like a video and write video scripts or even edit them without help. So let me show you this. I call this inner circle, outer circle. So when we all start in any business, we're wearing all the hats, we're juggling all of the balls. And so us encompasses the entire circle, the circle representing all the duties, all the tasks and projects in a business. The goal, though, is to shrink that circle, shrink that, and limit the number of projects, duties, and tasks that you do as CEO. Once you obviously have a good foundation, you know what you're doing, because you shouldn't be, look, I mean, do you think Steve Jobs, when he was alive, he was CEO, great visionary. Do you think he was on the factory floor in China putting together iPhones? I don't think so. All right? Do you think the CEO of General Motors is spray painting new vehicles as they exit the factory line? I don't think so. Now, you might think, oh, well, that's great for them because they have all this money. Well, everybody starts out, staring at a blank canvas when you start a business. It's just you, right? And so what you quickly find out, though, is that not all tasks are created equal as far as where you should be spending your time. In real estate, the concept is called highest and best use. People have gotten literally rich by finding a piece of property that isn't optimized for its highest and best use. For example, a piece of vacant land. And they had the vision to say, hey, you know what? I could quadruple the amount of value of this property if instead of just a ugly empty field, I turn this into the Javits Center, which is exactly what Donald Trump did in like 1977. That was a great example of highest and best use. Well, how you spend your time, you should consistently, obsessively be asking throughout your day, is this the highest and best use of my time? So answering customer service emails from your Amazon customers, like the 89th same question that everyone is sending you, like, hey, I didn't get my order yet. Can you tell me when my order's coming? Do you really need to be answering that? Is that a highest and best use of your time? Or is sitting down and writing like a video script that might take you 1 hour max using Rob's template, for example, but that one video could cause you a #1 ranking, get you a ton of brand building, get them coming back buying other products, right? You see what I'm saying? That's what I mean by highest and best use. So over time, we want to think about inner circle, outer circle. We want to shrink the sheer number of things you're doing to the 80-20, the core that emanate all the value in your business, and then you want to delegate the rest. And now, ideally, you're aligning this stuff with what I with a test that I love called the Kolbe test. All Kolbe does, it's like every other personality test. Like, don't get stuck on if you like one test or the other. DISC test or Kolbe, it just shows you your bias for things you're naturally great at and things that you naturally are weak at. And once you can identify that, you can fill the gaps in the inner circle, outer circle. You can over time replace all these weaknesses. And by the way, just a little hint that I found. I built many companies, okay, and I found that when I'm starting these companies, you have to do it all, or at least I want to do it all, at least in the early days, because I don't have the credibility to delegate if I don't know what the hell I'm doing, right? It's like, I wish they would take the 4-Hour Workweek books, torch them all. It's the worst book ever written for long-term entrepreneurial success. It sounds great. Hey, just hire a bunch of clueless VAs and they're going to build my business for me. It doesn't work that way, right? Do you think any pro athlete is working 4 hours a week? Give me a break. They're busting their ass. They're working harder than all their competition. They're in the gym. They're injured and still pushing through. That's what it takes to be success, in my opinion. Doesn't mean you got to do all the tasks yourself, though. Okay. All right. But anyway, inner circle, outer circle. When it comes to the weaknesses, right? Usually, an indication that something is not in your wheelhouse, kind of behaviorally, is that you hate doing it, right? And because, like my wife, for example, she loves doing certain tasks in our business, and I postpone it, I put it off, it never gets done. So stuff that you literally abhor doing and hate should be the first set of tasks that you delegate to somebody that they like doing it. It is in their wheelhouse, like detail type work for taxes. I almost puked in my mouth just even thinking about it, right? I'd rather go to the dentist and get my tooth ripped out. But other people love it, right? They're called accountants. Anyway, and this is just a great visual here that I'm going to show you of this concept of the income of the income ceiling. How if you just keep doing everything yourself, you're going to slam into what I call the income ceiling. So the solution to that, to get rid of these capacity blockages, is to build what Tim Francis calls the engine room, okay, or what I call the implementation team. An engine room is a business comprised of systems with people that are doing those systems for you as the CEO. All right. Now let's talk about hiring, though, because this is huge. Okay. Look, everything I've said intellectually, you already know this. You already know that you desperately right now need help in your Amazon business. Yes. So, quick quiz question: why haven't you hired somebody? Like, what's been holding you back? What's been holding you back is what I call the psychological push-pull of hiring. I know I need to hire someone to help me grow, but hiring someone will cost me more time and more money, to train them to even get to the point where I'm actually saving time, right? There's no like net benefit because now I got to do my task and I got to train that person. You know, it almost feels like who's working for who. I got to keep them busy, right? So you have this push-pull. You know you need to hire, but you're not doing it because of the short-term pain of having to train somebody, right? So that's why people don't get the help they need, from my experience. And the reason I know this is because I've been there. I understand. Well, what if I told you guys that I have a secret pool of very talented people, okay, that I'm going to reveal to you all for the first time. This pool of talent are already, okay, underline, bold that in your mind. They're already pre-trained on Amazon on anything and everything Seller Central, doing shipping orders, dealing with your suppliers to get shipments organized, booking ocean freight, doing FBA, doing sponsored ads, you name it, pre-trained. And whenever you need help, you just get in touch with my secret guest I'm going to have on right now, tell them what you need, and within literally an hour, now I don't want to promise this to everybody, but that's been my average, within an hour, this talent is working for me as a VA, either hourly, for a project, weekly, whatever. Now that sounds like a dream for most of us fast trackers, right? In other words, you get to skip the push-pull. They are a net time saver to you immediately. So we've just taken that excuse away from you, all right? So I've been testing this secret weapon myself since October. I was very upfront with Nathan. I said, I'm not going to recommend this till I go through this. And you can ask Nate. He'll tell you, yes, Ben, put us through the paces. He hired several people. And, you know, I mean, Nathan knows I'm very upfront with him. And I said, I'm not going to recommend anybody till I feel comfortable using this myself. So I remember I was doing a collective mastermind meeting. My number one best-selling product, they blocked my listing without notice. We didn't know why. I started to get all these Shopify orders much higher than normal. And you know, if you're good at building up your Shopify site, when you see a giant spike out of nowhere, it's usually indicative that your like repeat customers have flocked to to your Shopify site to buy. So that was my indication. Thank God I checked it because I was busy. You know, I'm like doing this mastermind session, right? And so I couldn't attend to this. It was on a Saturday, so my staff was off. Yes, I could have bugged them, but instead I contacted Nathan and I said, give me your best guy, your best listing, fix-it guy. And, it was up and running, I think, in about 2 hours. Fantastic, right? And I've had people that I've hired for long periods of time and for short periods of time for various tasks through Nathan. It's been absolutely fantastic. So anyway, they've exceeded my every expectation. It's not my company, so I'm not plugging this to get rich. It's like Nathan's company. It's fantastic. I've asked him to join us on here today. His name is Nathan Hirsch. I think I got a screenshot of Nathan. There he is. He's the founder of FreeUp. He is a VA expert. I'm actually going to, Nathan, you might want to unmute yourself here. I'm going to make you.
Hey, Ben.
Hey, what's going on? I'll make you presenter here, so if something pops up on your screen, just go ahead and accept it. And
awesome.
There we go.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate the kind words. Rob, that was fascinating. I've been kind of sitting and watching for the past hour and a half, so that's some great information. And I'm going to talk to you guys about some stuff that I'm really passionate about, which is hiring, managing, and building company cultures. And I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard my other podcasts and webinars, and I kind of dive into the after the fact. What do you do after you have a team? How do you get the most out of them? With Ben, I wanted to do something a little bit different and really dive into how I built my internal teams, because I own 2 companies right now, and I'll get into that in a second, but I have two really great internal teams that do a lot for me, and I've spent a lot of time and effort in building those teams and making sure I get the most out of them. And if you're like me and I work 50 hours a week, you just never have enough hours in the day. So this is the war stories and lessons that I've learned from managing over 300 remote workers, how to crush it using VAs to grow and expand your Amazon and e-commerce business. Before we jump into that, real quick about me, my name is Nathan Hirsch. I'm the CEO of FreeUp. I'm also the COO of Portlight, which is my Amazon store. I started my first company when I was 20 years old in college. I hired my first my first employee before I could legally drink. So I've been hiring for a long time. Like any business owner, I've made some incredible hires, people that I couldn't do it without. people that still work with me 8 years later. And like any business owner, I've made some pretty terrible hires. Mistakes I made when I was younger that I wish I could take back. It was frustrating, wasted a lot of time and money. But through all that, I learned a great deal about hiring, and I was always committed to finding a better way. I hated job boards. I hated the whole process. I hated recruiting. I hated long interviews. I hated multiple rounds of interviews. I hated the turnover when you invest so much money into training someone and one day they just walk away. So I really spent my time perfecting my interview process, how to make it quick and efficient and get the information I need. And that's a lot of what I'm going to share with you. And also how to find the right fit for your company so they stick around and they communicate at a high level, which we'll dive into. Like any entrepreneur, and like Ben was saying before, you're very limited. There's not many companies that grow to a high level with a one-man operation, even a two-man operation. You're going to need a team. You're going to need to delegate. And when you start running out of time in a day to do those tasks, you really have to start taking things off your plate. And to give you a little idea of how I even started this, I was hiring remote employees for a while because I own an Amazon dropshipping business, so it was never necessary to have an in-person staff. But one day I opened up an office, I hired full-time people, I was paying them $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, I added overhead, and I thought I had this great plan to expand my company and maximize the talent on my team. And what I quickly realized is those $40,000, $50,000 a year employees were not as productive as my remote workers, and they were spending a lot of time doing tasks that just weren't that valuable to the company. So when a buddy of mine that was actually on my softball team when I moved to Florida told me about Odesk, which is now called Upwork, I became determined to build what I called my Odesk army of remote workers that could do everything from data entry to customer service to Excel. And they would work underneath my employees. Each of my employees would have a bunch of assistants to do anything that wasn't top level tasks. If I was paying you $60,000 a year, you better be doing the top level stuff 99% of the time. And if not, you need to come to me and say, hey, I need someone from your Odesk army to do it for you. And that's really the mentality I had. And it was so successful that I realized the office was completely unnecessary, a great learning experience for me. And I went back to having a remote company that ran on workers from around the world. So right now I have Portlight and FreeUp, which is both remote. And I spend a lot of my time consulting people on how to take their business to the next level, hire remote workers if they've never done it before, maximize the team they already have, and keep the team there because all those are very important. So I mentioned that FreeUp right now has over 300 remote workers all working for clients, and I'm counting on 300 people every day, and I remind them of this pretty constantly. There's 300 of them and one of me, and that's just my FreeUp company. That doesn't even include my Amazon store. So there are a lot of people that I can't be telling what to do on a daily basis. I can't be checking on their work. I can't be dealing with issues. I need people that can handle it in crunch time and free up my time so that I can focus on expanding both my companies rather than dealing with issues over and over again. None of this would be possible without my internal team. I have a 20-person internal team at FreeUp, everything from bookkeepers to people who run my Facebook ads, to people who do the customer service and talk to my clients when I'm not on because I can't be on every second of every day. I need to sleep and do other things. And so I'm going to give you 7 hacks that I use to build my A++ internal team that I value at an incredibly high level that I hope stay with me for the next 30 years. So the first thing is perfecting your interview process. If you don't have an interview process, don't interview people. You have to know exactly what you want, what questions you're going to ask, and which I'll actually get into of what questions I ask, and what you want those answers to be. You're going to get a wide range of people. If you're limiting yourself to just your town, or if you're interviewing people from all around the world, everyone has a different background, a different culture fit, a different amount of experience, a different amount that they care about your company. Are they someone that's in it for the paycheck? Are they in it to help grow your business? Are they in it to learn? Are they in it to teach you and teach other people on your team? You want to find out what their motives are. So if you don't have those questions down pat, don't even think about hiring yet. You need to spend hours really defining the questions and what answers and what people you want to add to your team. So before I even get into harder and more important questions, whenever I meet a worker that I'm interviewing, or my HR team that does a lot of interviews, how many hours are you available to work? You'd be surprised how many people overlook this. They will go in and hire a remote worker, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, I had this huge 40-hour-a-week project, just do it until it's done. And the worker's like, what do you mean? I can only work 10 hours a week. I have 3 other clients outside. So make sure that you know what hours you need. Be realistic. It's very hard to get people that are just on call for you whenever you want. How many hours do you really need in a week? Is it 5? Is it full time? Is it going to go up during busy season? Make sure that they're committed at the end of the year when you need them the most. What's their rate? So I always like to ask people the rate that they want, because lowballing people is a terrible strategy. I've done it before. My clients try to do it before they come to me because, yes, you want the cheapest worker. It'd be awesome if my entire internal team worked for $1 an hour. But if someone comes to me and they're like, my hourly rate is 25 or my hourly rate is $10 an hour, and I'm like, you know what, I really want to hire you, but I'm only going to pay you $22 an hour, not 25. And maybe that person needs a job right now and they're desperate and they're like, you know what, I'm in, let's do it, let's try it. The second they get a higher paying offer, the second they get the rate that they think that they're worth, they're going to drop you in a second, and all the training that you've invested into them is going to go right out the door. So make sure that you ask people the rate they want, and if someone's too high for you, just move on. Get someone else that maybe has a similar skill set that is asking for the rate that you're willing to pay. Past experience. If you're someone like me, I'm not looking to hire a newbie and train them from scratch. I'm looking for someone that's worked for other companies my size, that is bringing something else to the table, that has years of experience. English speaking ability. It's something you can tell right away. I always want to talk to people. I want to see them write, depending on how much talking they're going to be doing in their actual job. If you hire someone that doesn't speak whatever language you speak at a high level, it's just never going to work out. So double check it, triple check it. If there's someone that's going to be talking to your clients and customers and representing you, make sure that they're doing it at the highest possible level. And then the next thing is more of a red flag. Make sure that there's someone that does the little things, like showing up to the Skype interview or easily planning the next meeting. If you're working with a worker and they can't figure out how to translate time zones in a reasonable amount of time, move on. You want someone that saves you time, not takes your time taking a step back to explain and figure stuff out for them. If they don't live up to your expectations at first, it's not going to work. Get out of there quick. Don't wait till down the line. That time before you actually commit to hiring them is your time to get out. Make sure that you are incredibly happy with the answers to all their questions or move on to the next worker. It's much better to get out before you start having them sign documents, or if they're an employee doing HR stuff, or you invest any training. Get out first and find someone else. So other questions that I like to ask: what do you have going outside of work? I want people that I'm their #1 priority. And don't get me wrong, I understand that people have families and they have things that going on, but I want someone that loves work, that work is really the main thing on their mind. Whatever their outside distractions are, whatever other clients they have, I want to make sure that I'm their #1 priority. And if they don't bring that to the table, then I move on. I ask them what they're looking for. Are they looking for a place to learn slowly? Are they looking to be there long term, which is what I'm looking for? Are they looking for some quick projects, some on-call work? Make sure that you want the same things and that lines up. Now the next one is a funny question, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't test people on their skills, but asking people to rate their different skills on a scale of 1 to 10 is a great way to find out a lot about someone. If you have someone that has 4 or 5 different skill sets and you ask them to rate it, at the very least you should be able to figure out what skills that they're the best at and the worst at, and maybe you have them focus on that. If you see someone that maybe doesn't have that much experience, if they're 6 months into whatever task they're doing and they rank themselves a 10 for everything, you know that something's fishy there and they might not be telling the truth. So just by getting answered to these questions gets you a better gauge than a lot of tests can even perform, because a lot of people can study for a test, but they can't actually do the job when it's crunch time. And lastly, and most people know this, make sure that you get someone with high internet, fast computer, someone that's not going to have those blackouts. And by asking this question up front, you're holding them accountable. If you say, hey, do you have blackouts constantly? And they're like, no, and within the first week they're having blackouts, you're like, no, you told me you don't have it, it's time to move on. And so the point of all this is to find out about their availability, their ambition, their skills, and really their communication, which is everything. I don't care how talented you are. If you can't communicate with me, if you can't be honest with me, it's never going to work out. Make your workers commit to communication guidelines. Now, FreeUp has 20 pages of communication guidelines, which I know is excessive. The reason is because we're dealing with hundreds of workers that we're giving out to clients that are dealing directly with the clients, but you should have your own set of guidelines. And the more people you have on your team, the bigger sets of guidelines you should have. And this should clearly lay out who they go to for what kind of late policies do you have? Who should they contact if they have an emergency? How many weeks in advance do they need for vacation? So there's just no gray areas, no surprises. I mean, even stuff that's more related to e-commerce, in my busy season, I need more advance notice for time off than I do in March. So making that clear and not assuming anything and laying it all on a piece of paper and making them sign it is incredibly powerful. Even if you can't make it stand up in court and you're not going to enforce it after the fact if you fire them or anything like that, it's an incredibly powerful technique that we use to get people to communicate at a very high level, really laying out the do's and the don'ts. So some things that I lay out, make sure you have some contact information, some backup contact information. I have a lot of Filipinos workers. If someone goes missing, which is very common for remote workers outside of FreeUp because we don't allow it, but it's one of the biggest complaints people have is they'll be working with someone and they just disappear. And how do you chase someone down if they're on the other side of the world? Make sure you have a backup phone number that you can contact them and an address and a form of identification. Get all that up front so you're not left scrambling at any point in the future. Set down strict policies. If you're working for me, if you're clocked in and I Skype you, I expect a very reasonable response. If you're not clocked in, I'm not unreasonable. I don't need you to drop what you're doing and respond to me, but responding within 24 hours, business hours, is a very strict company policy. You should be checking your email. If I'm hiring a work professional, they should be checking their email and responding to Skype messages within 24 business hours. And that's a big key that I encourage you to enforce with anyone that you work with. Setting the tone of on time is late. And I learned this from Tom Coughlin, the coach of the Giants. I know Ben was talking about the Patriots before, and I'm a big Giants fan. If you're on time, you're late. Show up to every meeting 10 minutes early if you're going to be on time. Set that expectation from the top down. Do it yourself. Show other people that it gets done. The people that are on my internal team, the internal part of my internal team, like the main 3 or 4, 5 people, they set the precedent for that, and everyone else follows. My meetings never start late. So I encourage you to enforce that. Really how to deal with emergency situations. I know what's an emergency and what's not. I know how many emergencies people typically have in a year, what a normal amount of power outages is. If it's someone that has a power outage once a month or every 2 months, not that big of a deal. If it's happening weekly, that's a big deal, and it's in my strategy, it's in my communication guidelines that they're expected to tell us up front if this is an issue so that we can make a decision whether they're worth risking that for. And a break in any of these communication policies and any of these things is ground for termination. And we'll talk about that in a little while. I don't know if you've ever heard this saying, hire slowly, fire quickly, but I'm a big believer in that with some exceptions. So getting updates from workers each day. And this is funny because I can't check updates from 300 workers each day. So no, I don't get that. But I expect them to update their clients every day. If you worked an 8-hour shift, a 1-hour shift, if you're just working on a project, I don't expect you to just start the project and hand it in when it's done without any communication in between. And that's the biggest mistake people hiring for the first time make, is they assign a task and all of a sudden and they get it back and they're like, this isn't at all what I wanted to. When if the worker just communicated by, hey, day 1, this is what I did. Hey, day 2, these are the changes I made. And if a task is important to me as a client, I'm going to know, hey, they sent me this email, they're going in the wrong direction. Let me correct it before I invest time and hours. And even if you get the worker to refund you for the hours because they messed up or anything like that, you still have to value your time at a very high level. It's much easier for you to jump in and set someone straight early on than it is when they're already 20 hours into a project. So don't let it happen. Make it clear that if they're going to work for you, they need to be providing daily updates, whether you prefer Skype, email, Slack, it doesn't matter, but they need to update you on a consistent basis. And I actually have a template if you want to use it. This is a template all my internal team uses whenever they leave for a shift. They give me an update on any work they completed for the day, how many hours they work, so I can keep track of billing and payroll, problems they ran into and how they can solve them. This helps me keep a track of how good their problem-solving skills are, and if there's a problem that gets escalated to me, and what their plan is for the next day, which is a good policy to have in general for any employee. When they leave, they should know where they're going to pick up the next day and what the goal is for the next day. And that kind of goes into what Ben was talking about before with having those once-a-week meetings so that people always know what their goals are, they know what their expectations are, and really keeping that going into the next day and into the next week and into the next month is incredibly important. So this is the report I get. Even if you don't check it, even if you don't have time to check emails every day from your 20-person internal team, it just keeps them accountable, and it's a good practice to have. So this is the biggest thing, and it's one of those, there's no perfect way to handle it, so you have to handle it in the way that yields the highest percentage of results, and if every once in a while it doesn't go right, you still have to stick with what works in the highest percentage time. And this is how to deal with underperforming workers. So unfortunately, even with me, not every worker is going to work out. And even with Ben hiring workers for me, I mean, I'm sure he's aware it's not going to be a perfect fit every time. Hiring is not a one-size-fits-all industry. It's not a perfect industry. You're never going to be 100%. So you have to know how to deal with it. And there's a big difference between making a bad hire and a worker deceiving you and lying, or something that makes a worker change courses halfway through. Maybe they're going really well, and then all of a sudden something happens in their personal life, or they disagree with what's going on in the business, and they just change their mentality. So it's up to you to really figure that out. And so some rules that I follow that I would consider hacks is that if you're getting red flags from the beginning, jump ship, get rid of that worker. If they're giving a bad attitude, if in their 3rd hour training they're not following directions, get rid of them. Yes, there's always a chance people turn it around. Yes, second chances in life are usually great, but it's not worth investing your time into more and more training when the chances are it's not going to work out. Even if there's only a 70% chance it's not going to work out, move on, get someone else that's going to follow directions and not give you those red flags. Now, if you've already invested hours and hours into training someone, it's usually not a good idea to just fire them right off the bat. You usually want to dig deeper. Figure out what's going on. Is it an external thing, internal thing? Is something wrong? Is something wrong with your training? And I like to have those one-on-ones where I ask them for feedback and figure out if I can get to the bottom of it first, if they're going to share it with me. If they're not opening to share it with me, then that bothers me a little bit. And what I'm going to do is set clear expectations. You know what? It's your job to show up at this time, at this day, to have this much productivity. These are the goals. This is whatever task that you have to do, and I give them the weekend to figure it out. I might be like, you know what, it's Friday, go home, think about it, come back Monday, ready to roll. And a lot of times people are just burnt out. I know my bookkeeper who handles all the invoices and payment processing for FreeUp, I noticed early January, I'm like, you know what, this isn't like you. You've been with me for a year and a half. You're one of the best hires I've ever made. Like, what's going on? And I know he was kind of scared to tell me that he was just burnt out. So I gave him a 4-day weekend, and he came back Monday, and he's been crushing it ever since. So really try to figure out if it's the worker, if it's your process and systems, if it's something internal or external, or whether that worker is just burnt out before you make a quick hiring or firing decision. So the next thing is how to deal with underperforming workers. So what I try to do is identify what step is really giving them the most issues. If you have this laid out process of this is how you create an Amazon listing, and you know how long it takes, and all of a sudden their hours are just they're billing way too many hours for the work they're actually doing, I just go through with them pretty simply. Okay, walk me through this step. How long does it take? Walk me through this step. What do you do? How long does it take? Walk me through this one. And all of a sudden, I just get to a step where they're like, you know what, this one took me 25 minutes. And I'm like, wait a second, that step doesn't take 25 minutes. Show me how you're doing it. And they'll walk me through it, and I'm like, oh, that's why you're not doing it right. And so I'll just correct them real quick and then give them another chance and push them forward. Because a lot of times we assume things that you shouldn't assume. The way that they work, the way that they've been taught to do things in the past, the way they work with other clients is not the same as you. If I give you someone with 5 years of customer service experience, they're going to know customer service, but the way that you do it is not the same how another client they maybe work with for 3 years does it. So you need to make sure that they can adjust to your systems and processes. And if it starts to slow down, you should solely try to take their work away. If you have someone that you've invested a lot of hours into, like I said before, it doesn't make sense just to fire them because you're hurting yourself just as much as you're hurting them. But start taking tasks off their plate and assigning them to other workers on your team. And before you know it, that worker that was incredibly valuable to you, that all of a sudden started going in the wrong direction, is no longer valuable. And when that happens, then you can make a move. But a lot of the times, what's funny is the second you start taking work off their plate, they realize that red flag in their head and they quickly turn it around and start doing better. So it's almost a win-win for you. Either you get rid of that worker or they turn it around quickly. Either way, your business is protected, which is really all that matters at the end of the day. Have a low-cost, reliable personal assistant. My assistant's name is Jan. She's incredible. I'm actually hiring 2 more this week. Growing a business requires a lot of small, on-the-fly tasks that you don't have time for. So what I'll do is I'll have an assistant, and I give them a long-term project, a short-term project, and then the day-to-day stuff that they do with me. And the long-term project, they're just continuing to chip away on whenever it dies down, because some days are really busy and some days are a little slower. So they have those to work on. Then they have those short-term weekly projects, and then the rest of the time they're with me. And I'm not sure if this has ever happened with Ben, but there'll be times where 4 clients will Skype me the same thing, and you know what, I'm like, all right, this one I should handle. Jane, this one's an easy request, just fill it, I'll check back later, and double check on your work. And as you grow, and FreeUp is 2 years old, but when we get to year 3, 4, and 5, and if we continue growing at that pace, just like I did with my Amazon business, I'm going to get farther and farther away from those even medium-sized requests, never mind small requests. So I need to have some reliable, low-cost personal assistants that are on while I'm on, that can help me with doing things that I just don't have time for. And you'd be surprised as you're going about with your day, when just small data entry task goes up or emails have to be responded to. And if you just have someone by your side at all times that you're paying $2 to $6 an hour for, just having that person there can really help you focus on the bigger picture stuff, just like Ben said. Keeping everything organized. So I rely on them to keep me organized. I have so much going on a day-to-day basis. Even if I use Trello and Asana and my new favorite, which is Jira, there's nothing I can do to just be organized at all times. So I tell my assistants it's their job to organize me. They should be reminding me of meetings. They should be prioritizing emails. They should be communicating with all 300 people on my team constantly so that I know what's going on, and updating me on stuff. When we have different newsletters or different promotions to go out, they're the ones reminding me. And that's not to say that I just count on their reminders at all times, but they keep me organized and I rely on them so much. And it's something I strongly encourage my bigger clients to have. And a lot of them have told me that it really changes their whole workflow when they just have that person on for 8 hours a day when they're working. Hack 6. This is a lot of what Ben was talking about before. In that the first years of business, you should be perfecting the task, creating the processes, and then once you've done that, passing it off to remote workers. With the exception of stuff that I can't do at a high level, like bookkeeping and accounting work and stuff like that. Every other process in my company, I did the tedious work. I looked for improvements. I took people's feedback and I made them better. And only when I've gotten to that point where there's a response for everything, there's a system for everything, there's a fail-safe proof in place, then I give it over to someone and I hire for that position and I pass it over, and I use that as a trial. So once you get out of year 1, having repetitive tasks on your plate for longer than a month, you're really holding yourself back. You need to focus on dividing out those tasks, making a list of everything you do on a day-to-day basis, from the easiest to the hardest, and start taking the easiest stuff off your plate little by little. Creating training docs, I strongly discourage you, and this is a big hack that'll save you time, from doing those one-on-one trainings. Make sure that you have stuff in writing, make sure you have videos, because all of that stuff is going to save your time, and the point of hiring is to value your time at a very high level. So if they have something to read and look back on, if they have a question, if they have a video that they can watch over again, all that saves you time. And if you're hiring people and they can't teach themselves from a video, you might want to step it up in terms of skill of the level that you're hiring with. And this has really been my mantra for the past 5 years. Me and my business partner, Connor, every time we have a new process, the first thing we ask ourselves or ask each other is, all right, how do we automate this and pass it off? And what is the perfect worker we're looking for that we would be great to pass this off to? And that's allowed me to focus on new clients, new business, building my brand, being on these webinars with you guys instead of dealing with every little issue that comes up, and really increasing sales, both on my Amazon store and on FreeUp. And it really goes for any e-commerce business, any online business, any business that can be done remotely. And the hack number 7, and this is once you have built that team that you're considering strong, and you need to really take a step out of even dealing with that, and that's why I mentioned that I have my internal team of my internal team, is hiring a remote manager when you need it. If you have over 10 remote workers, you can't talk to them every day. There's just too much stuff going on. So get people that their top skill is just managing other people and getting the most out of other people. And a lot of times what you'll find is they might be more motivating than you. They might know how to tweak someone to get them to do what you want at an even higher level than you can, especially if you just don't have the time. So I have a bunch of managers who act as the intermediaries between me and the workers. The 300 freelancers or even my lower level people in my Amazon store know not to go to me with every little question. They go to the managers. The managers make sure people show up for shifts, so I don't have to go through a big checklist of workers every day and figure out who's there and who's not. They're going to help recruit for workers. A lot of times I trust them so much that before I hire them, I'm like, you know what, talk to my manager. Let's get his thought, because he's the one that's actually going to be managing them. And then they provide overall updates to the team. A lot of times I'll have these Monday morning meetings, which I have at 10 a.m. every Monday, and I'll go through a list of stuff with my internal team, and then it's their job to get that information out to everyone as a whole. And the best workers can do that at an incredibly high level, and it's very valuable to find those types of people. And then a lot of times the managers can take stuff into their own hands. I only want to deal with stuff if it escalates out of control, and I trust my managers to keep it out of my hands. So they'll be the ones to talk to the worker and be like, you know what, I like being at FreeUp, or I like being at Portlight, which is my Amazon store. This is what I follow. This is how I've found success. This is what you're not doing. You need to turn it around, not for Nate, not for the boss, because not everyone thinks in their best interest of the boss, but do it for me. Do it for the other people on my team. And a lot of times that gets a lot more out of people than just having a boss reprimand someone over and over again. And Ben, you can chime in here. We're almost done. But with these 7 remote hacks, your company can really take off. It'll help you save you time, to get better hires, to keep people longer, and to really maximize people's skills, which is what hiring is all about. So I do encourage you, if you take one action step today, is to create that list of all tasks that are currently on your plate and figure out what you can start passing off, or what tasks have you been doing longer than a month, so you can really start finalizing those processes and hand them off. And once one is off your plate, it becomes a little bit of addictive. It's fun for me. I can't wait to finish off that process and hand it off to someone else, and then check back in a week and see how good they're doing it without me even there. So it's a very fulfilling part of your business. And like I mentioned, the first thing I said, it's impossible to grow your business just by yourself. You need to build a good team if you want to hit your goals. So for the first time, I'm introducing you guys to FreeUp. We can take you on a first come, first serve basis. All our workers are on a first come, first serve basis, and we try to take only the top 1% and let them into our network. So we do turn down a lot of workers for you. The cool thing about FreeUp is you do get to skip a lot of the interview process. We get hundreds of applicants a week. We filter them for you, so you don't have to. And once you're a client of ours, which is free to sign up, and there's no monthly fee or anything like that, anytime you need a worker, just like Ben said, it's a Saturday, something goes wrong, or you're planning a big project, you can request one real quick. We fill most requests within hours, sometimes within minutes, just depending on the time of the day. And all of our talented workers are first come, first serve. We have workers from $5 to $50 an hour, all remote, both U.S. and non-U.S. for every position, really covering a lot of e-commerce. So I'm sure Ben will put this link right in the show notes, and I'm happy to answer any questions that people have.
Great. Well, Nathan, that was great. And, I found it really interesting that you actually admit to being a Giants fan.
Yes, we beat you guys twice. I'm assuming you're a Pats fan, right?
No. I live more up out of Buffalo, so I can't talk, right? Because we got the Bills, so, Don't tell anybody. But Nathan, as you can tell, Nathan is very much my type of guy, my type of operator. He is a guy who's manning the till, right? Meaning stuff gets handled. It gets handled and it gets handled fast. I like that. So that's where he channels all that frustration from watching the Giants, right? Nathan, for people that don't quite understand what it is you guys do, just kind of like, spell it out for us. So you guys basically are a VA service, but you have all different skill levels, correct?
Yeah, so we're an organized marketplace. We're the opposite of all the job boards out there. When you post a job, you get all these people to apply and you have to go through applicants and set up interviews. We're a fast hiring marketplace. So with us, we have the people in our network ready to go. They're pre-vetted. They follow our guidelines. You request a worker, we fill the request. A lot of people come to us just because they hate interviews or they don't have time for interviews or they've used us a while and they just hire them right away. If you want to interview them yourself, you're more than welcome to. We give you 10 to 15 minutes to do that. And after that, you either click a button saying you want to hire them or send me someone else. And if you want to hire them, you get started right away. So we're incredibly fast. And the cool thing about us is, yes, we save you a lot of time on the front end, but on the back end, we're insurance against turnover. Our workers rarely quit because of a lot of stuff that I didn't get to talk about today, like company culture and keeping people involved. But if they do, because it is real life, we cover all retraining costs. We get you a new worker right away, and we make sure you never take a step backwards for HR reasons. So I really built FreeUp for what I wish I had back when I was hiring for my Amazon store and spending 30, 40, 50% of my time on HR related stuff.
Yeah. And it really is great, guys. It's like if you have a specific need to, and I mean, I'm sure Nathan would agree with me in saying that, the more precise and specific skill set you need to communicate that to Nathan's team, and they can match you up with somebody really, really good. If you're really kind of loosey-goosey on your needs, then they can only base it on, hey, do you want somebody with basic, Amazon skills, kind of, intermediate or advanced, right? Now, you don't have to get too into this, but we just kind of explain how the pricing works because I know people are all, thinking about that.
For sure, and you kind of mentioned the different levels, so I'll jump into that. So first of all, we do everything from Shopify to bookkeeping to graphic design to Amazon, and we categorize all our workers into 3 sets. The lower level, which would be your 5 to maybe 15 an hour, maybe 15 is high, but 5 to 15. Mid-level, which is that 10 to 25 range, and upper level, which is 25 to 50. For lower level workers, we're giving you someone with years of experience, but they're doers. They're there to follow your processes, follow your directions. Yes, like I said, they might have 5 years of customer service experience, but you have to teach them how you want it done. With mid-level, they're more specialized, so they might focus on FBA reimbursements or building Shopify stores. So you're never going to have to train them. You're hiring them to do a specific thing, but you would never hire them to be a manager. They're really more focused on those specific tasks and doing them at a high level. And the experts are people that can do everything from the top down. So if they're an Amazon expert, they can do PPC at a high level, optimizing listings, SEO, they know FBA. So we only call someone an expert if they can do everything. And our experts are going to spend that initial 1 to 2 hours with you going over your goals and expectations, your game, creating a game plan, and then working with you to execute it long term, or becoming a project manager for a lot of my bigger clients and helping you build a team underneath them. So those are really the different price ranges and people that we offer.
Okay, great. And what type of skills can be hired? I mean, pretty much anything that you can dream up that is related to e-commerce?
Yeah, I mean, anything that we don't want to violate any terms and conditions of marketplaces. So you can't hire workers to write fake reviews or anything like that. But as long as it's stuff like listing and customer service and running PPC campaigns and any maybe data entry work that's more specific to your business or contacting suppliers or doing product research, all that stuff my clients hire VAs for.
Got it. And I'm just going to take some questions here. Somebody wanted to know if you use software to record the worker's screen.
Sure. So we do have our software, the FreeUp software. At this point, it does not record the worker's screen. They do punch in and punch out. They have to leave notes for everything they work on. It's actually an upgrade that we're working on right now for our software. We do have a small percentage of clients where that is a big deal, game changer for them. When that happens, we work with Time Doctor, where you can spend like $5 or $10 a month or whatever it is, and record. You can do it all through there, and they'll just add their time into our software to bill you. So it's really not an issue. My workers want you to feel comfortable, so you know they're working. It's really hard to get into our network, so our workers care a lot more about staying in our network and not breaking our policies than they do about stealing hours for you. So we'll work with you to make sure that you're comfortable and that you're getting whatever you need to feel that comfort.
Great. Beverly Hannah says, do you choose the workers based on like her requirements, or does she choose from a pool of vetted workers?
Yeah, so we try to stay away from being like the job boards. You're submitting a request and we're introducing you to one worker. And don't get me wrong, if you don't like that worker, we want to ask you feedback. And if we don't get it right on the first try, we almost always get it right on the second try based on that feedback. But now if it's something where you're like, hey, I don't know if I should hire a U.S. or a non-U.S. worker for this, because we do have U.S. and non-U.S. for every skill set, then yeah, we're more than happy to introduce you to both and let you make a decision that way. But we're never going to introduce you to more than 2 or maybe 3 workers, and you're not going to be picking from a pool of 50 applicants.
Yeah. Cam says, how about handling things like running Facebook ads for him?
Yeah, we do. We have some really awesome Facebook people. We're really loading up with some top-level consultants that can do that at a high level. I mean, I practice what I preach. The entire internal FreeUp team are workers from my network. So, I mean, we have everything from, social media is kind of broken up into 3 parts. We have workers that can manage the stuff, and that's pretty cheap. Writing content, which is a little bit more expensive, and then doing ads at a high level, which is more expensive than that.
Yeah. And we'll take a couple more questions here. Alex wants to know what VA stands for.
Virtual assistant. And I call everyone a VA. I actually stayed away from that, which is why I called them workers, because it's more generic. But I mean, everyone on the team is a worker, whether they're a consultant or a lower level person. They're all virtual assistants technically. So I wouldn't read too much into the name.
Yeah. So we're still getting questions about the pricing. Guys, how it works is basically it really depends on the level of expertise that you need. So he can't just throw out some made-up price because it so varies, widely, what their expertise level is. So if you have a need, I really recommend. I mean, I had the same question when I first met Nathan, and I just spelled out what I needed, and very quickly they got back to me with a person and a price. And it's either a go or no go based on your budget. And I can just say this, for the level of experience, very reasonable. Like if I had to waste my time to sit there, train somebody for 2 to 3 months, hope and pray they actually worked out, and if they're working like remotely, where you don't have that much control, if I had to go through that process, I mean, what's your time worth? So I find his rates very reasonable and very high quality, for what you get.
Ben, if they click on that link of yours and they scroll down to view skills and pricing, there's a whole infographic that lays out every skill set we offer and ballpark prices ranges for both U.S. and non-U.S. workers. All the workers are hourly, so it just gives you the hourly rate, and they'll all give estimates for how long something will take. If you're like, hey, how long does it take for a listing or whatever it is? If it's a bigger project, you might have to pay them to do an initial 1 to 2 hour discovery phase, and they'll still give you estimates and not go over them without your approval and not even start working without your approval. So yeah, it is hard to be like, hey, this project is going to cost you a total of $100, but you're not going to just get a bill from us for $500. You're going to be very informed along the way and know what everything's costs and get approval and all that.
Yeah, I mean, they're very buttoned down. These guys know what they're doing. Like I get, I think like a weekly invoice or something like this. It just spells out how many hours. And keep in mind, if you're working with somebody and you have a tight budget, just ask them. Just say, hey, limit your working hours to whatever, X hours per week. So I'm getting a lot of questions, Nathan, about like, hey, can we hire people for this? Can we hire for that? Yes is the answer. Like Shopify, yes. Setting up an Amazon listing, yes. Pretty much anything and everything within reason, as far as like advertising platforms and Seller Central, Shopify, and even on the periphery, even things like a customer service. So I'd recommend if you have a very specific request, just use that link that he provided you. This is for my fast trackers. And guys, he's not just saying first come, first serve as like a scarcity thing. I warned Nathan, I said, one of my worries for you guys is we can literally slam a business with so much work that it becomes a problem. Now, Nathan is going to experience this when I post a replay, but he's assured me that he has a lot of good quality workers, but this isn't something you want to sit and kind of twiddle your thumbs and go, well, maybe I'll hire somebody, because, somebody really good could be scooped up by somebody else. So I would just recommend get your feet wet, start maybe with a few hours if you know that you need help in an area. I'm a big believer, huge believer, you guys all know, of building an implementation team. This is the perfect solution. And again, I don't own FreeUp, so I don't care one way or the other if you use them or don't. I vetted them. I paid them. It's not like he gave me these people for free, right, Nathan? I mean, he knows I paid full price. And I'm just like you, and so these guys have my highest recommendation. I've been down the road of hiring a lot of VAs, myself off of Upwork, and going through other VA firms. They all sucked. Nathan's is fantastic. I really like them. So, if you have all these questions about, hey, does it do this? What's the pricing? Just go through these guys, and they will just tell you in about 5 minutes what's up.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick, and I'll jump off. You right on the website, FreeUp, you can actually book a meeting with me, and I'll answer all your questions. I'm more than happy to. And don't forget, signing up as a client is free. So at the very least, if you sign up, who knows? You might be in the middle of busy season next year, or a project might come up that you just don't have time to hire for. If you're a client of ours, you can just quickly submit a request and have whatever you need fast. So even if you don't have an immediate need, even if you just sign up today, you'll at least have access to any workers you need at any point going forward.
Yep. So we're getting some great feedback, like Joseph says, that there's great pricing sheet on our site. Looks like some great talent on tap. I'm signing up. Cam says, so the workers are both overseas and the U.S. Yes, you can pick or choose. Yes, U.S. only or like non-U.S. That is on their site. And I'll take one last question, Nathan, because I got to still teach 2 more modules, if you can believe it. We're 2.5 hours in. Dan says, is there a charge to establish an account with FreeUp?
Nope, it's free to sign up. There's no monthly fees. If we tell you a worker is $10 an hour, you're paying $10 an hour.
Yeah, there's no like hidden fees. It's not like a headhunting service. Guys, if you're interested, my advice is just contact them, have a conversation, try out like 1 or 2 workers, and I think you'll be quite pleased like I've been. So, Nathan, I really appreciate the time and effort that you put into this presentation. And thanks for sharing all this stuff. And I hope our fast trackers that have a need for this, take action, because this is how you're going to scale your business, guys. You should not be doing $2, $3, $4 an hour tasks. There's a whole lot of them that you're stuck with like initially, but you got to move those off your plate so you can focus on $100 to $300 per hour tasks. So, Nathan, thanks so much, and maybe we'll have you back for for some Q&A or for some other ninja stuff that you can share about working with VAs. Okay.
Thanks, Ben.
All right. Thanks so much. All right, so we are still cranking out here. We're still cranking out. So let's transition here. We have 2 more modules. We should be able to wrap this up in about 20 minutes because in sort of typical Ben Cummings style, I have documented very precise SOPs. SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedure. In other words, a checklist, okay? So I want to talk about the ultimate customer service help desk for your Amazon business. Groove HQ. So Groove HQ is this site right here. Okay. Now, I had used Zendesk, and I had this big, technical setup. I hired people to set it up, and then Wilson helped me out, and it was like a long eval process to try to hack Zendesk to function as an Amazon help desk for all of those messages that you get in. Now, if you're brand new to this business, you might think, well, who cares about this, right? Like, I just want to make sales on Amazon. But very quickly you learn that the amount of messages you get through the messaging system, in other words, from the customers on Amazon buying your private label product, it gets overwhelming. Also, if you only use the messaging system within Seller Central, there's no record of how you dealt with that issue. There's no proof. There's no nested kind of like ticket. There's no help desk, ticket. It's like very antiquated, their message system. It's for people that, frankly, are just beginning. It's not really a robust system, especially as you add staff. If you hire some FreeUp people, like I think one of the first things you guys should be doing, if you don't have somebody who is managing and in charge of all of the incoming messages, all the customer service, messages, you got to hire with that, because that is so, systemizable, if that's a word. Because look, of all of the customer service requests you're going to get, there's not an unlimited, variety. In fact, there's probably like the same 6 inquiries you probably get these same 6 80% of the time. So you only really need initially to come up with 6 or 7 or 8 really well-written, canned responses. But you also need a way to manage these tickets. You need to look somebody up and say, oh, wait a minute, this person had an issue, the last 3 products they bought, or whatever. So Zendesk, yes, that worked, but number one, very expensive. I mean, very expensive. I think it's like $70 per user per month. So I was spending, I think, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a year just on Zendesk people to keep adding people, and they make you prepay in most cases. Second, very difficult for my employees or VAs to use. They hated the very counterintuitive tech. It's almost like, okay, picture how Seller Central is very like, I don't know, like engineers built it. It's so unuser friendly, it's a joke, right? That's how Zendesk is. So Zendesk was killer. It was a game changer because our X factor, how we're going to compete and win big time and have like repeat, people coming back and buying and buying and buying, is by epically good raving fan customer service. I'm a huge believer in that. In fact, all of the new people who joined Fast Track, our last intake that we did in December, I called all of you personally. It wasn't some marketing trick. I used Voxer. And you guys remember that, and like several people at my event that I did in Vegas, they came up to me privately, said that blew me away. We've never had a quote unquote, guru personally call me. It just so reassured me and reinforced, kind of everything you're about. So it's that X factor, that customer service stuff is where we're going to win, right? And most people just ignore it. They don't care about it. They just want the money. We're going to be different. We're going to give Epic. See, 2.5 hours in, I pronounced epic. We're going to do really good customer service. So you need a help desk, in my opinion, but especially as you scale. So Groove HQ, let me show you how cheap this is. $15 a month per agent, as opposed to $70 a month. Maybe it was even more than that for Zendesk. Super simple. I've built, Nathan was talking about why you need to document systems. Let me show you what a good documentation for a VA or for you guys looks like. This is how to do an SOP. Screenshots with arrows, step by step. So I've done an SOP for you guys already, 2 of them. First of all, how to set this up specifically for Amazon. So let me just kind of walk you through this. Please, if this is kind of rudimentary at first, just stick with me. How it works, so you get the customer message that's sent through the Amazon platform. Yes, and by the way, if you're using our 3-step seller mail or Feedback Genius, those 3-step emails that are probably the most successful ones out there in the industry, right? And I had on Aaron Prentice, who's part of my mastermind group. I think that was in November. I mean, we are crushing it with those. Everyone's whining and complaining they can't get reviews. Tell you what, not with our sequence. Works really, really well, and Aaron's addition really just knocks it out of the park. Now, with that, though, is a caveat, because the middle email basically asks, in an indirect way, do you have any issues, any problems with your order? Did you receive everything? So you tend to get a lot more customer service tickets than all the other Amazon sellers out there, because we're proactively trying to engage in a very positive way. So we head off negative reviews in that second email, but we also start to give that wow factor, so we tend to get way higher take rate on 5-star reviews and just in general people leaving reviews. So how it works is, if you're going to use like my seller mail sequence and Aaron's addition to it, you're going to just get more tickets in general. So they're going to come through as a masked email to the Amazon platform, and whatever email you specify, and don't worry, I have a screenshot, so this will make more sense. But like in Seller Central, under, I think it's your seller details, you literally just put in there, hey, this is the email to notify me whenever a customer sends a message. And you can make it a Gmail, You can make it a Yahoo. We use Google Apps, so it's basically a branded version of a Gmail account. So I still use Gmail, but like we have like support@ourbrand.com. Okay. So whatever you use, you're going to tell Amazon Seller Central where to forward these messages. So let's say it goes to Gmail here. Great. So a lot of people are just kind of answering all of these, support, tickets. I'm just going to call them a support ticket. In this case, it's just an email, right? But they're answering them themselves in a Gmail account. Okay. Instead, how GrooveHQ works, you actually forward all of your customer support emails to GrooveHQ, so it minimizes massively the tech setup. And when you reply, you have a history of that ticket, and you can assign certain brands, certain issues, certain products to your team within GrooveHQ, which is exactly what we do. Because over time, you want to, as your business scales, you kind of have product experts. You have people that really understand these problems. If you have a lot of ASINs, well, anyway. So you have all this options that you never could have in Gmail, and plus you can just add as many staff as you want. You can remove them, and so like if you give out your username and password for a Gmail account, that's a nightmare. It's just messy. Okay, so you actually are forwarding through these messages to GrooveHQ, and then when you reply, it actually forwards it kind of back. Now, not technically, but conceptually through Gmail back to Seller Central, back to the customer. So all you have to worry about is this section right here, is the GrooveHQ help desk. You don't have to deal with any of this crap anymore. So what is GrooveHQ? It's basically a super simple help desk. That's it. Super simple help desk. And within one help desk account, you can manage multiple Seller Central accounts. We have 3 different Amazon Seller Central accounts with Amazon's permission. We applied for them. So we have all these different brands, but I also have all these off of Amazon brands as well. So it's not like you have to buy a different GrooveHQ account for all of these different companies you own. We have all of our company, including our Deal Club, that business is in there, my off Amazon brands, my other companies, and my 3 Seller Central is all housed nice, tightly, and organized within the same GrooveHQ account. Okay, so basically this is what it looks like. Now this is actually a screenshot from our GrooveHQ account. So if you look over here, okay, look at my mouse here. This is 1, 2, 3. These first 3 are my brands, my 3 different Amazon brands, and 1, 2, 3. This is our Deal Club, and these are 2 other brands that we have. And look at this. Now we just switched over, and look at how much activity these brands have. 4,000 support tickets, and we just changed everything over, I think, in December. So we're doing big volume. I mean, you guys won't be anywhere close to this probably if you're just starting out. But the reason I wanted to show you this is you can see that this supports heavy amount of tickets. And we have Rico Miguel. He is one of our long-term employees' brother, and Paulo. They both manage this for us. And you can see these are coming right through the Amazon Marketplace. So this is like, at the time I took the screenshot, we have 8 open tickets. And so like see where it says, I know it shipped but, job done, I know it shipped but, job done. These are the subject lines of our seller mail, autoresponders that we send out. So people are like responding. Hi, Emily, thank you for the follow-up message. Hi, Emily, thank you for the follow-up reaching out. Yes, it did work perfectly, thanks. So when you click on this, how it works is, sorry, wrong ticket. Well, okay, so I show what it looks like later in the second SOP, but basically you can click on any of these incoming messages that are, quote, open. Open just means new. And you reply to it. And you can reply using what's called a canned response. So we have built up for every single ASIN, every canned response we can think of within this kind of 80-20 band, this band of potential inquiries, we can like resolve them in, I think we're up to like 90% of the situations are now covered by an organized canned response. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how exactly we set this up. Super easy to do. Like, I am not a technical person. I mean, I do know some tech because I'm in e-commerce, right? I know the basics, but like if it, gets too in deep, I can't do it. I was able to set this up myself for all these different Seller Central accounts, for all these different brands. I think in total it took me 30 minutes. Okay, it literally took me longer to make this SOP than to do it. Okay, so here's how to sign up for GrooveHQ. It's just simply groovehq.com. Now look, I just want to point something out because this stressed me out a little bit because I never had to use GrooveHQ. It's going to ask you to choose a company URL. Now it's kind of like if you guys use Slack or Convo or some other services, it just kind of has you put in like ABC dog company.groovehq.com. Don't stress about this because the customer won't really see that. And especially like I was kind of stressed and I'm like, oh wait, I have multiple brand names. And so am I kind of locked into just one brand name? No. So I suggest you make this kind of generic, or if you have like a parent company, we have what's called a subsidiary structure where we have multiple entities where like the intellectual property is owned and controlled by a different entity than a different sub-asset owns the product and things like this. Maybe use either like the parent company name or just use kind of a, your name even. It doesn't matter what I'm saying. Don't stress over this, okay? Now here's how it works. Okay, so it basically turns Gmail into a help desk. So all you do now, there's a little bit more to this, but just kind of conceptually now I'm saying all you really have to do is just forward your email into GrooveHQ. That is it. Just forward the Gmail emails. Okay. So in Gmail, a message normally here, I'm going to blow this up so you can see this. In Gmail, a message normally comes in your inbox like this, right? I just have to say I love what you're doing. And then you normally just click reply. Hi, Jenny. Thanks so much for letting us know. Well, with GrooveHQ, you don't even have to log into your Gmail now. It actually forwards that same message into GrooveHQ, and it looks like this. Hey, I just have to say I love what you're doing. And then within GrooveHQ, you can reply to it, right? We now have a record. We can look her up by her name, by her email over here. You can see what her Twitter profile is. It has all this information here, okay? So here's the setup. Now, I'm not going to painfully walk you through this, but I'm just going to give you kind of the highlights because you're going to have this rather epic, Evernote that we created for you. So if you can just like follow instructions, you can do this. So if you're currently, so let's say that you're using Google Apps or Gmail or Yahoo, it doesn't matter, okay? So don't get stuck on that. But let's say that you're, let's say in Seller Central, that the email that you're using for Amazon to forward you the customer service messages, just for sake of this example, is support@abcsellers.com, right? It can be joeblow@gmail.com, okay? But whatever that is, when we're done with this setup, you're going to get a message from GrooveHQ that basically says, hey, forward all of these emails to this weird-looking GrooveHQ email address that we're going to give you. That's it. That's the crux of it. And then it does its magic for you. So here's the first thing. First of all, you need to identify, okay, what email are you actually using for customer service? And you do this in Seller Central. Now, most of you know this. I'm just going to show this to you. Log into Seller Central, click Settings, Account Info, and then see where it says your seller profile. You're going to click on that blue link there, and then right within here, see where it says sellerinformation.com, sellerinformation.ca. I will say I made this mistake. I didn't notice that one was .ca for Canada, .com. If you're only on the .com platform in the US, this is all you have to worry about. And this is where you edit or at least note what your current customer service email addresses are. See where it says customer service email, support at yada yada, and the reply to email, support at yada yada. In most cases, these will both be the same. Okay. Now, if you want to do this the right way, I believe you should have a branded email address. It's easy to do. Like in Namecheap, you can literally just set up, unlimited email accounts in Namecheap and have them forward those to your GrooveHQ. Now, if that's beyond you, if I just lost you, don't stress. Like, just get a new Gmail account called abcdogproducts@gmail.com. Go in here and change out these email to that new email address, and then you have this new customer support Gmail, and that's good enough, guys. You don't have to make this complex. I just want you to get it done. So here's what you're going to do. So as you can see, in GrooveHQ, there's just a couple terms you have to learn. These are called a mailbox. Now, don't get freaked out. A mailbox just means like, hey, if my Seller Central account is called Joe's Dog Bones, you know, so and you know, I need to have all of the Joe's Dog Bones, you know, customer support emails. That's called a mailbox, a quote unquote mailbox. So we have like 3 mailboxes for our 3 Seller Central accounts, and we have 3 mailboxes for our 3 websites. Okay, that are just, you know, different companies. So that's just called a mailbox. As you add these mailboxes, they will appear here. So a lot of you have a deal club because it's a great way to rank a product and get reviews. So what we recommend that you do is, you know, I hope that you have a customer support email for your, you know, deal club members. Add that as one of your mailboxes. Obviously, add your Seller Central as a mailbox for those support tickets. And if you have other companies, other businesses, why not manage everything in this one organized platform? So basically, here's what you do. In GrooveHQ, and I'm just going to show you this quickly so you can just relax and realize how easy this is. You go to Settings, Mailboxes, right down there. See that? Mailboxes. And pretty much all you're going to do right there is click Add Mailbox. Add Mailbox. See that? And this is just where you're going to put in your basic information. So the mailbox name, if your Amazon company is ABC Sellers, it goes there. And under email, this is the same email, whatever email that you use for this step right here in that red box. You're just going to put that down here because basically you're saying, hey, set us up, please, set us up with a mailbox so we can forward all these emails that we're getting from customers into GrooveHQ. Just leave this at default. You're going to use their whatever the hell that is. And literally just copy everything I have here, other than obviously don't put ABC Sellers, put, you know, Doug's Dog Bones or whatever the hell you're going to put. Auto reply off, auto BCC off. In most cases, you want this off. And who can see this? Everyone, meaning who can see this on your team. Now later on, you can go in and you can change this to who can see this. Ralph, because Ralph is in charge of my, you know, Seller Central brand. Okay, but you know, right now, keep it simple. Just follow all of these things where I have a red arrow and click Save Mailbox. Now, when you click Save Mailbox, a pop-up appears. It says, hey, log into the settings of your email provider and forward, you know, whatever that email was, support at ABC Sellers, and forward it to this. Now, it's going to spit out this weird-looking email address. That's the forward email. So just click Copy and paste that into a text edit document or a Word document somewhere safe because you're going to need it for the next step. So now we're just going to forward your Gmail to GrooveHQ. So you're going to log in to your Gmail account. You're going to click on this little icon here and go to Settings. And now there's all these tabs in Settings. You want the one that says Forwarding and Pop-IMAP. And you're going to click Add a Forwarding Address. And where it says, please enter a new forwarding email address, this is where you paste in that GrooveHQ address that they gave you. And then you're going to have to verify this. So you're going to get something like this. It says, a confirmation code has been sent to yada, 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 to verify permission. And you're going to get this confirmation code within your GrooveHQ account. It takes like seconds, like you know, 30 seconds for this thing to be sent. Okay? And then it just says, please confirm the forwarding mail to yada, yada, yada. You're going to click confirm. Sorry, I was wrong. I said you're going to find this in your Gmail account. Actually, you're going to find this, sorry. I said you're going to find this in the GrooveHQ account. You'll actually find this in your Gmail account. Okay, it'll literally just route it back through to your Gmail account and click confirm. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I won't painfully go through this, but it's all spelled out here. It's super, super easy. Now, let me just give you a couple bonus tips. Now, we use Grasshopper. Grasshopper allows us to use a toll-free phone number. And, you know, it's not necessary, but, you know, so having a toll-free number for you know, customer service, it calms people down, but it also allows for some great opportunities to wow customers. Because everyone's kind of hiding behind their computer. Very few people have have a phone number, right? So Grasshopper is a way to kind of automate this. You can choose to live answer these or not. In most cases for our Seller Central brands, we don't live answer those calls, okay? But we still give people a chance to leave a voicemail. Well, you can set up this thing in Grasshopper so whenever somebody calls and leaves you a voicemail, it sends a support ticket right to our Groove HQ account, okay? It's super easy to do. So where it says, where do you want messages emailed to, just insert that same, support email that you're using at Seller Central and, put it here. And now, every time somebody leaves you a voice message, it goes right to Groove HQ. It's logged as, hey, somebody left his voicemail. Now you can turn on transcribing, because if you're sending out press releases, we find that a lot of our calls that we get are like people saying, hey, we're the executive producer of yada yada products, and we'd like to get you on TV. And they're just total bullshit. They're basically guys that they're bottom feeders. They look at all the people sending out press releases. They act like they're a TV show. They're not. For a mere $5,000, they will film a short video clip about like your origin story. So it's just a way for them to drum up business. So a lot of them are just sales guys, ones you can ignore. But boy, there's some ones that you should not ignore. These are people that are upset. They could potentially cause issues. It's usually the unreasonable a-hole types in general that you want to just calm down, because they are unreasonable, like by definition, and it can cause you problems with Amazon, right? They can slam you. They can get your product banned if they're really pissed. So if they're annoyed enough to call us, you can bet your rear end, we are calling them back, and we're doing whatever it takes to keep them happy, okay? And anyway, so we get notified because these are all these notices from Grasshopper are emailed right to our Groove HQ account. And also Facebook fan pages. So when you're running Facebook ads, you can get a lot of messages to your fan page, right? So basically you want to disable their ability to message your fan page, because who wants that? Who needs that? I don't want to turn my Facebook Messenger into a quasi customer support. I want to funnel that traffic into Groove HQ. So here's what you do. Go to settings and turn off, uncheck this box here that says messages, because I don't want them to be able to message this fan page, right? But I do want them to be able to contact us. So here's what you do instead. On every fan page now on Facebook, there's this thing. Now I'm in the admin view, but it says add a button, okay? If you're not in the admin view, you'll be like, hey, I don't see this. You have to be logged in, and you have to be in your admin view for your fan page. Click add a button, and you're going to choose contact us, okay? And guess what you're going to put in there? That's right. You can put in, sorry, there's a typo. You can put in your support email, the same exact one that you're using for Seller Central or whatever, and you can have that email. You've already set it up to forward into Groove HQ. So now if there's any fan page kind of issues, like, hey, I got your 70% off coupon, it didn't work, this is a scam, well, now we can attend to it, and we can just calm them down and give great customer support, okay? So I know a lot of you, we run a lot of traffic on Facebook. A lot of traffic. So the messages can stream in, especially if you have multiple brands. So it used to be a nightmare, right? I'd be getting, I'd be out with the wife at a nice romantic dinner. I was working like crazy. I wanted to give her my time and attention, and my phone's going off like, fireworks in my pocket, because we're getting all these messages of people saying, hey, I didn't get my product yet, what's going on, yada, yada, yada. So I turned off those messages, and now we funnel all that traffic into Groove HQ, problem solved. And frankly, they're happier, it looks more professional, and anyway. So here's some resource links at the bottom of this SOP for you, because, we'd be here all day if I covered how to forward from Yahoo, how to forward from Namecheap, how to forward from cPanel. Pretty much everything you need is right here. Their customer support at Groove HQ is exceptional. So let's say what they don't know how to do, if you say, hey, I can't figure out this Amazon stuff, they don't know Amazon. I've had several people who heard me talk about Groove HQ, and they said, hey, like their customer support, they don't understand like Seller Central, so they said they weren't sure. But they know that Amazon people are using it, but they can't tell us how to set it up. So don't bother them with that. They don't know how Amazon works. But anything else like this, like how to forward from Google Apps or AOL. God forbid, I hope no one's using AOL still. I mean, pretty soon AOL email will be in the Smithsonian Institute, right? So it might be time to upgrade to Gmail or like Google Apps, but pretty much anything like related to that, they can help you and they will help you, all right? Let me just show you some of the practical stuff in the second SOP. Now, here's how to use it for streamlined customer service. Oh, this is wrong. This is wrong, so I will edit that. But here's how to use the dashboard. So, again, time of the screenshot, there were 8 open tickets. Again, open just means new, and there were 55 pending. Now, that just means that my team had responded, but we're awaiting the reply from the customer, okay? Now, it's super easy to quote-unquote close a ticket. So in a lot of cases, though, like of these, like, so let's take a look. 9,000 tickets we've closed out since December, right? And you're probably like, holy shit, that's a lot. But most of the time, you can reply and close a ticket at the same time, okay? I'll give you like an example. So this is actually right from our support desk. It says, job done. And this person wrote back, Emily, I like the product. The only issue I have with it is yada, yada, yada. Otherwise, it works well. Thank you for reaching out, Donnell. By the way, what does this tell you? They probably would have left us a 2 or 3 star review. And by the way, the thing that this person didn't like was so ridiculously stupid, you'd laugh. But hey, you know, we headed off this potential issue. And so all we need to do is click this little reply button, and it looks like this. Thanks so much, for your feedback. We appreciate it. And then we click send as closed. Now that means they're going to get the reply, but internally that's a closed ticket. We don't need to keep that as an open pending ticket because we don't need Donnell to reply again. Okay. Now, the real magic over time will be as you build up a list of canned replies. So literally, you click, it pastes in, it even carries through their first name using a certain token, okay? So you don't even have to retype their name. It'll say, hi, Donnell, automatically. And anyway, in the reply box, you click insert reply, not this thing, but this thing right here, okay? And you can see we have all these macros that come up. So this is our brand, and this is each individual product. Now, you might be like, well, I don't quite get it. Well, these are like accordion things. So if I click on Aaron's macro, well, here, I'll just show you. If I click on Aaron's macro, there's 2 canned replies. Received order, but haven't tried it yet. Unhappy, dissatisfied customer, offer refund. It's like, boom. So we can go through 9,000 plus tickets like that. Well, not like that. But it's funny. Like, I think like an hour or 2 later, I went back into our Group HQ account to take a screenshot, and we were already up to 88 new open tickets. So we get a lot of tickets, guys, a lot of tickets. And when and as your business scales and grows, you have got to use a professional help desk. Otherwise, it is a freaking nightmare. And I bet Nathan would absolutely agree, right? He's dealing with a whole lot of VAs, and there's a lot of internal communication. If you're not on the ball with this stuff, it can spin out of control. So all of these kind of accordion open. So like this is a brand, and this is a certain product. This is that same brand, and this is a second product. So these replies about questions about how to use the product and all this stuff, they're all accordioned in here into the canned replies. Okay? Now, we have a lot of canned replies because we have all of this activity. So oftentimes, it's super easy to use the search box. Let me see if it should. Okay, see the search box right here? So let's say you're jamming. You don't have time to look up something that doesn't happen a lot. You can't remember what it is. Just start typing in like the word refund. And all of the related things, and I had to hide some of these, but we had like 6 or 7 variations of the refund, and boom, you click it, pops it in. Now, how do you create a canned reply? 2 super easy ways. Let's say that you get it in an email, and you're typing up a reply, and you're like, hey, that's pretty epic. I like that reply that I'm typing. You know what? I might as well save this as a canned reply. So you can actually click this little arrow button thingy here. See, it says insert reply, and to the right of it, there's that little like weird thing. If you click that, it'll allow you to save that great reply you just typed as a new canned reply. The other way to do it is you can just build a bank of these canned replies all at once. So you go to settings, canned replies, and you just do the settings like right there, okay? So I'm not going to walk you through this. It's super, super easy, okay? See where it says insert variable? This is where you can insert their name. Hi, and it says like first name. And we do this for all of our canned replies because it looks, really personalized, okay? Anyway, there are a ton of other really easy to implement features like, okay, how do you automatically assign a ticket to an employee or VA? Super easy. I'm talking like 2 clicks, and a whole bunch of other like amazing ninja stuff that you could never do otherwise without an organized GrooveHQ help desk, okay? Any questions about this real quick? Because I still have one more segment here. Bill says, in the example from Julie Stroud, it listed her true email address. Okay, so that example of that Julie Stroud, that was from a screenshot I just got off of the GrooveHQ site just to save me time. But like in our Seller Central emails, it doesn't display that customer's true email. It'll display the masked email always, and there's nothing we can do about that. And that's fine. It doesn't matter. When you hit reply, it sends it back through GrooveHQ through Seller Central to that customer, so you don't have to worry about that. Sarah says, is that option available for Instagram? I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, for the forward message from social media? I gotta be honest, I'm not like an Instagram expert, so I don't know. Richard says, am I selling in Canada? No, because every single person I know who has sold on the .ca Amazon platform says it's horrendous as far as traffic and sales volume. It's literally not worth shipping the inventory to Amazon.ca. And I've heard that as recently as about 3 weeks ago when we were doing our event for people in our mastermind. Nobody has good things to say about the traffic that's available on Amazon.ca. I just don't think it's hit critical mass in Canada. Does it replace Seller Mail? No. Seller Mail and Feedback Genius, those tools are basically autoresponders that you set up that run and are triggered when orders are placed. This is how you're going to manage all of the messages that come through from customers, from your buyers. Mark says, so if a customer replies to an email that we marked as closed, does it auto reopen the thread? Yes, it does. It'll kick it back into the open. Yep. Frederick's freaking out. He's loving it. He says, terrific, fabulous. Thank you so much. Yeah, I thought you guys would like this. So Banu Madi says, can we have some canned email templates? Well, it wouldn't make any sense because they're product specific for us, and the other canned replies that we use and learn from Aaron, that was taught in November, so just check those out. No, Gmail is not needed. Whatever email you're using, I mean, guys, how are you right now getting emails or notices when somebody sends you a question? I mean, how are you doing it right now? I mean, unless you're not selling anything, you must be getting customer service emails, right? I mean, maybe you guys are just going into Seller Central and manually doing it that way. Ugh, how inefficient. You can't do canned replies or anything that way. I mean, that's like torture. You'd have to have a Word document open, find the canned reply, copy and paste it. There's no ticket. There's no history with that, of the service and replies. You don't want to do that. But guys, this is so easy. Just try it. I mean, just trust me. Just try it. And let's say that you're really cheap. Fine. Get one agent. It'll cost you $15 a month. And if you have 5 VAs, just let them all log in using the same agent account if you want. I wouldn't do that because I want to see who's performing. I like to control who has access to logins and my platforms. But all these questions, all these worries, just if you actually go through the setup process that I've documented, you're gonna want to kiss me on the cheek the next time you see me. Does GrooveHQ allow you to include attachments? Yes, it does. It does. Now, I don't know, honestly, I'm trying to think. So we include attachments on our seller mail automated sequence. So I'm assuming there's no problem with adding attachments as a customer service reply. I'm assuming there isn't. But honestly, offhand, I can't remember. I've not been doing our actual customer service for almost 2 years now. I've had my staff do it, so I don't know the answer to that. Mark says he does well in Canada. Okay, that's good to know. Not huge, but a nice supplement. And Beverly says we just sold out of one of our products in Amazon.ca. All right, so there you go. So maybe I'm wrong. So Ashley, I think, nailed it. Ashley said, us Canadians don't use Amazon.ca because there's nothing to buy. So it's a bad cycle. There's probably some truth in that. Can you export your canned replies if you decide to change service in the future? No, I doubt it. I don't think so. You just have to have your employees, copy and paste them. But Sarah, why would you ever want to switch? So Tim says, can messages from Shopify store customers also be imported to GrooveHQ? Hell yeah. That's exactly what we've done in Adudu. I mean, so like, some of those mailboxes that I set up are for our Shopify sites, for our off Amazon Shopify site. Remember, you're not really doing anything different. I mean, how are people emailing you from your contact page? Well, you must have set up an email address, right? support@tim.com or whatever. So if they are emailing you now, then you can set that as a forward it to GrooveHQ. That's simple. So whether you just have a, I don't know, let's say your wife owns a yoga studio. If she's got an email, you can add that mailbox and you can forward that email right into GrooveHQ. So it doesn't matter if it's Seller Central or a Shopify contact or a website contact or a brick and mortar. If they have an email, you can forward that, okay? How does GrooveHQ deal with spam? Yeah, there's a spam thing, like a spam filter. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. Bill's pumped. No, the free up link is working fine. And so we'll post that link with the with webinar replay. All right, so guys, we are over 3 hours in. I'm not done. Okay, so let's wrap this up. This will be quick. You guys are gonna love this though. All right, and like, don't forget, if you have more specific questions, we're doing our Q&A webinar, so you can ask away there. We'll have more time, but I start to get brain fried when I'm about 3 hours in here, over 3 hours. So, and Brett's probably going to kill me because he's the guy that records these sessions. So if Brett has to go to the bathroom, he's really in trouble, right, Brett? All right, 7 secret weapons and tools for crushing it with Facebook ads. All right, so let me just show you this here real quick. Again, there's an SOP, so don't worry. And I started off this SOP with, I just downsized my graphic designer. Not really, but when it comes to getting great results from Facebook ads, and you guys know that I gave you in-depth, detailed Facebook ads training, right? So this is kind of like the addendum to this of tools that we use. One of the things that holds a lot of you guys back is a lack of knowledge about graphic design, meaning like you don't even know the image file types. And I get it. It's kind of like its own, vernacular if you don't have a lot of experience with images. And to ask you to buy a tool like, Photoshop and build like a kick-ass ad that you can use as an image in your Facebook ad is like, it's just not happening, right? Because number one, it's really not highest and best use of your time to be learning Photoshop when you can hire somebody else. But the issue is I'm impatient, and money loves speed. So I want to be able to have my team come up with a Facebook ad concept and make an unbelievably great image, because we know that image holds great sway in the success of that Facebook ad. Okay? So basically, you can have the greatest text in a Facebook ad in the history of mankind. But if the image sucks, that ad will not be successful on Facebook. Conversely, you can have like just a few words in the text part of a Facebook ad, but have an epic image, and that ad will be successful. So image holds great sway. So one of the constraints that we had in our business is, hey, we want to be able to, not just me, but my team, to be able to come up with epic looking Facebook ad images very, very quickly. Okay, very quickly. So let me show you what that looks like. So see, it says 4 secret weapons that get me huge results. So the first one is pixlr.com/express. We use this all the time. This is ninja. So check this out. It's free, by the way. Okay, it's totally free. So, hey guys, just hold on one second. I think I hear somebody at the door. I just want to make sure I haven't locked out my wife. Hold on one second. Just to cue the Jeopardy music. Hello? All right, well, it's either a robber or my wife. I hope it's my wife. Okay. So this is free. My entire team uses this. Let me just show you how this works. So this is all web-based. And we're going to click Browse. And we are going to, I'll tell you what here. Let me pause my screen real quick here. I just got to find an image for you here, all right? You'll see how this works. Pretty cool. Okay. So let's say that these are your Amazon images. So like this is literally what we do. So you've already had 7 great images made for your Amazon listing. And let's say that we want to run a Facebook ad for this product. This is not my product, okay? So first thing you can do is you can do a cool overlay effect. See this vignette right here? And so let's do boom. I mean, that looks amazing already, right? But let's click apply. And let's do some let's add a sticker right here. Let's do like some hearts, I guess. So we'll do love. You know, let's do some lips. And we can kind of shrink this down here. I'm just showing you what you can do here. So we're going to blow a little kiss to this, click apply. And then let's do type. And they have these great handwritten fonts right here. See where it says handwritten? So if you click on this list, let's just find a pretty cool handwritten font. Let's use, I don't know, J.R. Hand, shall we? We're going to write flash sale, 53% off. Okay, now, kind of hard to see, right? So see where it says color? Let's make this red. Okay, and let's just move this around. Click apply. We can save this. And if you click save, it saves it as a JPEG. I mean, trust me, just trust me. I know it looks weird, and I just did this for the demo, but just by, doctoring this up in like a minute, I think it took me, your click-through rate on that ad will be dramatically higher than if I just used the ordinary plain white background image. And just keep in mind what's called the 20% textual on Facebook, but this, you can move this, you can shrink this down, you can change the color. There's all kinds of stuff. There's effects like this, all kinds of wacky, weird stuff you can do. Just a ton of stuff. Borders, stickers, overlays, adjustments, right? Make it more vibrant. I mean, there's just a ton. Okay, so check that out. Again, that is Pixlr Express. Now, they have a desktop version for the Mac, which I love, and it's cheap. It is, let's see, it doesn't show the price here. I want to say it's like $9. So it just lets me do all this stuff on my iMac. But honestly, you don't need it because it's free from that site, okay? So let me just close this so I don't have a million windows open here. The next site that we use is called Pixlr Editor. Now, this is a bit different. This allows layers. It looks the same, but in Photoshop, there's something called layers. Like you have one layer, which is the main image, and then you have a second layer, which is the text. And you know, as you get a little bit more advanced, you can build these different layers and move stuff around and make templates. Well, what's great about this is see where it says open an image from library. It's free to register for a Pixlr editor. I share my login with my staff, with my employees, and I can create these Facebook templates and these, you know, social media templates and upload them to their free library. So now I can message, you know, a VA or Corey or Ed, and I can say, hey guys, build a Facebook page post ad for product X. And that tells them, hey, okay, use Ben's page post, you know, Facebook ad template. They just drag and drop the layer of the image from our Google Drive, and literally it takes them maybe 2 minutes, and then we can be live with a Facebook ad that fast, okay? So check that out. Now, there is a Udemy course on this, which I highly recommend that you take, called Pixlr Power, how to use the Pixlr editor. I make all of my team watch this because I want them to become graphic design ninjas, even if it's not even in our wheelhouse. Because, guys, we run an e-commerce business. We're online. We use graphics. We need to grab their attention. So I don't want to have to keep paying a freaking graphic designer who's in a different time zone just to knock out a quick Facebook ad. What if I want to split test a dozen Facebook ads with different images? I mean, it costs me $1,000. Here, it takes me minutes, and not even me. It takes my team minutes, right? Okay. So the next thing I want to show you is Canva. Canva is freaking amazing. Now, this is, they have a free version and a paid version. This is also great. Okay, so we use you know, Pixlr Express and Pixlr Editor to doctor up images that we've already had taken and are using for Amazon. But we use Canva for the built-in templates that look far better than I'm capable of designing. And they have Facebook fan page covers, these social media things that fit in a page post. I'm talking like unbelievable quality. And I wish I could remember the guy in Vegas when I was giving my 2 sold out events who came up to me and said, Ben, I know you like Pixlr Express and Editor, but you got to check out Canva. And I can't remember who it was, but I'll just give you like an example. Okay, first of all, these are templates that I can actually launch right now, okay? And these are, again, these links are in here. If you don't want to just type in like Facebook ad, check this out. Like right out of the gate, you have all of these templates. Now, some of them are too fancy for, you know, for my preference, but I mean, look at this one right here. And that's like way better than I could figure out how to do. You click on it, it loads it in your account. You can drag and drop then this image. It makes it black and white, and like it looks amazing. I mean, look at this one. If you're in beauty, just all kinds of stuff, and literally anything and everything you can think of, like related to graphics, you can do with Canva. It is something that me and my team love. Okay. Snapspeed. Now this is for your phone. This is made by Google, and it's free. There is not a desktop version, but I know a lot of you are taking your product images using your iPhone. This is a fantastic free photo editing app that you can use on your phone. And this also applies if you're building your brand and you just want to take pictures of you using the product and you want to post it to your Facebook page. Oftentimes, like a quick edit is good enough, and they have like lens blurs. And they have Glamour Glow and all kinds of cool stuff that you can do, and like Vignette. This is free. Works for the Android and the iPhone, iPad. Okay, and you can do really cool stuff like this, like a lens blur, things like that. Free. This one is like in-app purchase, but this is really cool. Now the reason I bring this up is this is called ColourPop Effects. This is one that we use quite a bit, and it gets these really cool, unique kind of images that. Yes, they look fantastic when they're done with people, but they look even more unusual and kind of like pops when it's with products. So, for example, picture my wife that I make black and white holding our dog leash, and the dog leash is in vibrant color. So it kind of like brings the spotlight to the product, and it does really, really well when you run these kind of weird things as Facebook ads, okay? right? So it's pretty cool. Now, it is kind of annoying. I'm just going to tell you up front, like every little thing that you want to do requires like an in-app purchase. It's not a lot of money. So if you read the reviews, everyone's bitching and moaning about, oh my gosh, this is like 50 cents. Okay, it's not much. I mean, it's not much, but it's not free. And then there's another free one by the same people that do Pixlr Express and Pixel Editor. I use this occasionally. It does cool things like this. It's more of a vintage. It's called Pixlr-O-Matic, and it lets you do like vintage retro type effects. So again, I just pulled this random Amazon image. I threw it into here, and it makes it look like it's on linen paper with like a film thing, and that kind of stuff. It just looks unique and different when you use it for advertising. So we use this. That's free. PicMonkey is like Canva. It's epic. It's really cool. It's not very expensive. I think it's like $30 a year, maybe less. It does all kinds of stuff. It does these collages that I like a lot. Now, when we use these collages, is we like to use them for one of our brands. We have a lot of selfies of users that that went through a contest where they're smiling, they're holding our product, and so this is called a 3-panel. But picture like if we made this into a 4-panel. So there's a picture here, a picture here, a picture here, a picture here. So we'll do this as one of the Amazon images because it's basically an implied endorsement, isn't it? Like if you see 4 happy, smiling guys and girls, big, ear-to-ear grin, holding up your product, one person, giving a thumbs up, the other, kissing it like they just won, Wimbledon. It really makes an impact because, it's like social proof. So we use this a lot, and it's also fantastic for running Facebook ads to your Shopify site. Let me explain. Let's say that you have a brand new product that you're releasing, and you want to target or retarget your buyers, which is very easy to do with Shopify and Facebook. Well, you can do a collage just like this, or you can do a 4-panel or even a 6-panel that highlights cool different photos of this brand new product launch that you're doing. Okay, so check out PicMonkey. All right, so guys, that's a wrap. I mean, I don't know about you, but like you think 3.5 hours is like enough material for you, like for 1 month? I think so. I've never had a complaint ever, I don't think. And if we have, Emily is smart enough not to tell me about it. We've never had a complaint, somebody saying Ben doesn't, deliver enough, quality material in a month. We really need more. Okay, we've never had that. Not that I know of, right? So anyway, guys, I just want to wrap up here real quick. 3.5 hours of rather intense material. You learn from Nathan. You learn about FreeUp. You learn from Rob and his video services. You learned a whole bunch of stuff from me. You saw a member makeover. That member makeover seems like a year ago now, doesn't it? A lot of stuff. It's easy to default to overwhelm at this point, right? Don't go there. I want you to ask yourself, what is the most important next step to take to implement this? Not like what are the 89 things. What's the most important next step? Get clear in your mind. Now, I always say, if you can just do 3 things from every webinar, 3 things a month, for as long as you're with this program, you will crush it. Because I can't get people to even do 1 thing. I can't get people to do anything, right? This is why we always joke, you have no competition because nobody's doing anything, guys. Trust me, nobody's doing anything. Everybody's talking a big talk, but when it comes to action, they're not real big action takers. They're really more kind of comfortable watching from the sidelines rather than risking getting tackled in a football game. So don't be like that. I want you guys to absolutely be the best in this business, to crush it. So pick just 3 things from this webinar, a minimum of 3 things. Sorry, no, 3 things. Just get those 3 things done. Then you can go back to the well and maybe do 3 more things, and then maybe do 3 more things. I mean, if you're like a lunatic like me, Nathan, and Rob, and like many of you guys, you'll want to do more than 3 things. But at a minimum, commit mentally right now, you're going to do at least 3 things. Fair enough? So that's your homework. You're going to, as soon as I'm done, you're going to identify in writing on paper what those 3 things are. And just remember, coming up very soon is my next webinar, which is our Q&A, which is going to be wild. They've just gotten better over the years. They really have, because we have such a good quality of client now that I'm learning a lot from them. I mean, they're posting resources and they're posting answers to questions that I don't know. They've really evolved into this great organic live kind of Q&A process, and we've just gotten a lot of rave reviews about how they've improved. So if you haven't ever been on one, check it out. They are a lot of fun, a lot of good information. All right, I just want to say thanks to Nathan. I want to say thanks to Rob, and I want to say thanks to all of you. I mean, I can't believe we still have 120 some odd people that have stuck on for 3.5 hours. You guys are awesome. So guys, on behalf of myself and the whole team here at Fast Track, until next time, I want to wish you much success in your e-commerce business. See ya.